Chapter 208. If heavenly flames really were as Greenfeather King said, then they could only be chanced upon. It would only appear when he was advancing to immortal. Then, he would be able to encounter it when he was at a mortal level. This was an opportunity. When advancing to the immortal realm, there are two kinds of powerful heavenly tribulation energy. They are called heavenly lightning and earthly flames, explained Greenfeather King. Fire is the flame of heaven and earth, the heavenly spirit flame. Lightning is the thunderbolt lightning. These two kinds of energy test a cultivator's final trial on the immortal Tao. I've heard that many experts have died to the thunderbolt lightning. The heavenly spirit flame is a baptism. After passing the thunderbolt lightning, it cleanses the body. It seems to be able to bring a cultivator the power of a great world. Heavenly spirit flame thunderbolt lightning. Hearing the word thunderbolt, he knew what kind of heavenly tribulation a cultivator would face when advancing to the immortal realm. Master, this heavenly spirit flame is really comfortable. The flame god elephant had brought the 13 flame crystal giants to bathe in the world of heavenly flames. The flame god elephant proudly swung its trunk. After absorbing the heavenly spirit flame, its body once more began to burn. Let's see if there are any materials in Zhang Yunfei's bag that can increase the hardness of magical treasures. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Long Chun decided to raise the flame god elephant's grade. The last time he killed Zhang Yunfei, his empty pouch contained countless treasures. His divine sense entered the bag. Amongst the large amount of spiritual items, Su Fong searched for extremely rare top-grade spirit stones, as well as other refining materials. At the same time, he took out the dozens of top-grade spirit stones he had collected. This is glazed adamantium. Soon, Su Fong found a treasure box among the countless piles of treasures. When he opened it, there were more than 10 translucent treasures that were somewhat similar to amber. Glazed adamantium, this was one of the main materials for refining high-grade and king-grade enchanted items. Zhang Yunfei had taken over a mountain and killed countless experts. There were bound to be a few cultivators who had obtained treasures that even experts didn't have. Su Fong took out dozens of treasures. Flame God Elephant, these are top-grade spirit stones and glazed adamantium. Use the heavenly spirit flame to refine them and merge them into your body. Top-grade spirit stones were extremely rare. High-grade spirit stones were priceless treasures among spirit stones. As for glazed adamantium, it was extremely expensive and hard for ordinary people to obtain. Most people had to buy it. The flame god elephant opened its mouth and sucked in the top-grade spirit stones and glazed adamantium. Using the heavenly spirit flame's power, the glazed adamantium, the 13 fire crystal golems were also madly burning. Previously, they had not perfectly merged with Su Fong's blood energy because Su Fong's strength was not enough. However, now that he had the heavenly spirit flame, the situation was different. The 13 flame crystal stone giants finally merged their blood chi perfectly. From now on, Su Fong could use them as he pleased. Su Fong also seized this heaven-sent opportunity to let the flaming cloud spiritual gourd devour a large amount of heaven spirit fire. Maybe it could store the heaven spirit fire and cultivate this peerless power. After all, the space of the flaming cloud spiritual gourd had already fused with all kinds of spirit fire and the green evil true fire. Maybe it could also brew heaven spirit fire. Puff puff. With 100 acupoints finger arts attacks, his divine orifices, purple chi dharma spirit, yang meridian, dantian, and countless meridians in his body were all being baptized. Su Fong could feel a powerful force. Buzz buzz. This continued for a day. The heavenly spirit flame suddenly weakened and turned into a small flame that slowly seeped into the heavenly tribulation. Naturally, this kind of spirit flame would not be baptized forever. It's a pity that the flame god elephant is just a little bit away from refining the glazed adamantium, but it can still refine a little bit by itself. With a thought, he made the flame god elephant and the 13 flame god golems hide in the dark once more. The heavenly tribulation was almost over. Without a golden core, there was no need to recondense a golden core. However, Su Fong had to grab hold of the heavenly tribulation's tail and recondense the flesh fetus divine armor. At the same time, as an immortal level, he unleashed his perfect stage ability and covered the entire island with ease. He could hear most of the movements within 10 miles. Heavenly tribulation. It's really a heavenly tribulation. It looks like the longevity heavenly tribulation. Our luck is too good. As soon as we passed by, we encountered someone undergoing tribulation. Let's go and take his treasures while he's exhausted. He wanted to go even further, but at this moment, he heard several people talking. Moreover, they were flying at an astonishing speed. In less than 2 breaths, Su Fong immediately released his divine sense and had the 34 slaves get ready. I thought you were in longevity realm cultivator when I saw the heavenly tribulation. I didn't know you were close to the imperishable realm. These slaves are enough to deal with you. How many more slaves can you get? Green Feather King was very pleased with himself. His smile was very savage. I'm lacking resources. I won't refuse people who give me resources. Su Fong also had a sinister expression. Whoosh, whoosh, the heavenly tribulation was about to recede. Su Fong welcomed the longevity realm. His body was still undergoing nirvana, condensing the longevity realm's essence and energy. Suddenly, 4 people came from the sky. They were all imperishable realm cultivators. Su Fong looked up calmly. Seeing the 4 people besieging him with the speed of thunder, he couldn't help but feel disappointed. Their realms are too weak. From imperishable realm first layer to imperishable realm third layer. This kind of cultivation is considered ordinary in the ruins of the spirit sect. Sure enough, it's a longevity realm cultivator who just succeeded in the heavenly tribulation. Whatever, a longevity realm cultivator might also have a great treasure. The 4 masters stepped on the air again and flashed, riding their flying swords. At the same time, they grabbed Su Fong with their palms. To deal with an immortal realm first layer cultivator, they had to attack at the same time. It could be seen that these people had been in Jianghu all year round. They were fierce people who killed and robbed. How dare you hurt, master? Kill. There were still 10 feet left. At this distance, the 4 masters could kill Su Fong in a breath. In an instant, the 34 hidden masters would not give the enemy this chance. They were like a big net. Whether it was speed or reaction, they were faster than the 4 imperishable realm cultivators. Before they knew what was going on, the 4 were punched and kicked by a large number of servants. It could be said that 2 fists were no match for 4 hands, not to mention there were more than 30 masters. Soon, the 4 were escorted over. Their flying swords and empty bags were taken away. Devil Seal. Without wasting time, he pointed in the air. For Devil Seal seeds condensed from the true Devil Blood Plate shot into the heads of the 4 people. From now on, Su Fong was their master. He was their sky master. The 4 obediently knelt down, kowtowing and shouting. Work hard. If you do well, I will be happy to reward you with a few pills or resources. Activating the true Devil Blood Plate, all the servants were sucked into it. When all the servants returned to the true Devil Blood Plate, there was only coldness in the gloomy world. Su Fong's voice sounded again. A human should be like a human. A dog should be like a dog. Whoever is not obedient will become a blood mist in the true Devil Blood Plate. In the air, Su Fong's mood improved. He had finally reached the long life realm. From now on, his lifespan would be over 1,000 years. Under normal circumstances, living for 5,000 years wouldn't be a problem. That was on the premise that he didn't encounter any accidents, fight, or get injured. But the majority of long life realm cultivators could only live for 2,000 or 3,000 years at most. They would die midway. Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji seems to be at the heavenly harmony realm. He has condensed a golden core, and yet he has lived for 3,000 years. That's normal. He could hide in the imperial palace for 3,000 years and enjoy resources. Adding on his golden core, 3,000 years is within reason. He inadvertently thought of Zhao Wuji. Once he returned to the immortal sealing sect, he would begin the competition for the mortal ranking. Perhaps he would officially come into contact with Zhao Wuji. The heavenly tribulation has finally scattered. Panting, he stared at the sky. The dark clouds had scattered, and the sun was shining down. Heaven and earth once more gathered spiritual chi. But the island had practically become a ruin. He continued to consume long life, realm pure yuan pills. He had absorbed a large amount of yang qi from the primordial chaos realm. His energy was recovering. The tribulation this time had consumed 70% of his energy. It would be difficult to recover without a year or so. After cultivating for a month, Su Fong left the island and flew towards the ruins of the spirit sect. When he entered the ruins of the spirit sect, he was still interrogated by the experts of the Supreme God sect. He was already at the Long Life realm, but they were still looking for Heavenly Harmony realm cultivators. What a joke! Before entering the ruins market, Su Fong called out the 4 junior commanders. He had them bring a large amount of spirit stones, gems, and pure yuan pills to different chambers of commerce to buy materials for refining yuan pills. Especially the small merchants, their prices were the lowest. In the entire ruins market, the highest price was the Taishan Chamber of Commerce. Su Fong began to stroll around the Taishan Chamber of Commerce. When did my head become worth a high-grade magic weapon, or 500,000 undying pure yuan pills? In the main hall of the Taishan Chamber of Commerce, he found many people gathered together. When he went over to take a look, it was actually a portrait of his other appearance. The portrait was condensed with true runes, vivid and lifelike. His appearance was incomparably exquisite, as if he would fly out of the runes at any time. Su Fongdao went to the highest floor and bought dozens of origin jade stones, but he did not buy mysterious yellow stone. Last time, he bought origin jade stones and mysterious yellow stone from Danru. If he bought 2 treasures from the Taishan Chamber of Commerce this time, they would definitely find out. What kind of pill cauldron do you need? After buying the origin jade stones, Su Fong inadvertently asked about the price of the pill cauldron. In the end, the price was still the same, so he simply went to other small chambers of commerce to buy. There's actually a bounty for my head. Without buying anything, Su Fong continued to stroll around. This time he was really free. Because he still had to wait for the 4 junior commanders, they needed to gather a large amount of materials for refining yang pills. It would take a long time. This also gave Su Fong more free time. And in a place where there were no shelves, there were a few spirit pillars. There were actually many portraits and runes on them. There were about 100 of them, and they were all drawn with lifelike experts. These experts also had the price of their heads marked. Broken Sword Sex Xiao Zhun Tong, bounty of 1 million indestructible pure essence pills. Qingshan's All Saints Sex Zhang Suatian, bounty of 800,000 indestructible pure essence pills. Zuan Pavilion's Ning Su Su, bounty of 3,500,000 indestructible pure essence pills. Green Lotus Sword Sex 3 Nameless Experts, bounty of 1,300,000 indestructible pure essence pills. Ziwei Star Sect General Chun, bounty of 2 million indestructible pure essence pills. Celestial Sealing Sex Yin Fu Xin, bounty of 1 million indestructible pure essence pills. Su Fong scanned through some portraits and first paid attention to the factions he knew. If he didn't look, he wouldn't know that there were disciples from Zuan Pavilion, Ziwei Star Sect, and even Celestial Sealing Sect. And Su Fong had met the bounty target of Celestial Sealing Sect once. Yin Fu Xin. He had met him once during the Mystic Cave trial. This person had a desolate body. Although he was only at the longevity realm, his future growth was limitless. He was the true target of Celestial Sealing Sect to nurture. This person wasn't well known in Celestial Sealing Sect, but he didn't expect that the price of his head would reach 1 million indestructible pure essence pills in the ruins market. 1 million indestructible pure essence pills. Even for indestructible realm experts, it was a huge sum. A supreme god disciple walked over. These bounty targets are all on a life-demanding list. The life-demanding list has 100,000 indestructible pure essence pills. If anyone is interested, You might encounter these bounty targets and have the chance to take their heads. Chapter 209. Death-seeking list and this thing? He had come to the market a few times. Although he was always in a hurry, he still knew some inside information. But he didn't know about the death-seeking list. 100,000 pure longevity pills. Su Fong bought one and held it in his hand. It was a rune talisman made of special materials. It was quite heavy. After activating it, Su Fong was stunned. There was indeed a list inside, the death-seeking list. There were hundreds of people on it. Most of them were cultivators from big factions, and a few of them were people with no background. And every portrait was vivid and lifelike. It felt like the real person was standing in front of him. Fong Yu, Pill Master, Heaven Union Realm. A living person is worth 1 million pure longevity pills. A head is worth 300,000 pure longevity pills. Su Fong looked at the center of the list. He didn't expect to see his own portrait floating there. So the Supreme God Sect also listed him on the death-seeking list. 1 million pure longevity pills was a big deal. The Supreme God Sect must want the formula for the impotence pill. Otherwise, with my cultivation, not to mention 300,000 pure longevity pills, even 300,000 pure longevity pills wouldn't be worth it. There was some spiritual power in his eyes. It was obvious that the Supreme God Sect had spent a lot to find him. At least, being on the death-seeking list meant that any cultivator he met in the future could have the death-seeking list and make a move on him. The Supreme God Sect's move was too ruthless. But the Supreme God Sect's methods were just shadows. Su Fong's appearance was fake. He didn't exist in this world. But Su Fong still looked serious. Damn, I didn't expect to fall out with the Supreme God Sect. I only thought of changing my appearance and not using another name. It's still Fong Yu. If the disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect also know about the death-seeking list, wouldn't they connect me with Fong Yu? But he quickly denied it. The world was big. There were many people with the same surname in the Crimson Firmament Continent and the ruins of the Spirit Sect. Even in a huge world like the Crimson Nimbus Continent, there were countless cultivators with the same name. Separated by the vast ocean, in the dangerous ruins of the Spirit Sect, how could someone who was worth millions of indestructible pure essence pills be an ordinary disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect? Most of the people on the death-seeking list are disciples of large powers. Why would they buy and sell heads in public? Su Fong couldn't understand. Then, he asked the cultivators beside him for advice. Seeing that Su Fong was a longevity realm cultivator, he naturally didn't have much knowledge. The people on the death-seeking list are all genius disciples of various big forces or powerful cultivators. Most of them are in the undead realm or the undead realm. The reason why they appear on the death-seeking list is that most of them are their strong enemies. They come to the ruins market to buy and sell their heads at a high price. The Supreme God Sect acts as the middleman and takes the money of those people. Then, they use the death-seeking list to inform all the cultivators. The major powers don't care. This is a disciple's private matter. How can the major powers care? Unless it's within their sphere of influence, they won't care. For example, in the ruins of the Spirit Sect, it's very difficult for the major powers to care. The ruins of the Spirit Sect are called the underground market. That's the reason why those major powers are overseeing one area. They can't control the entire world. There are other factors as well. I heard that the disciples of the major powers on the death-seeking list are all peerless geniuses of the major powers. They're about to break through to the undead realm and become unrivaled giants. This attracts the jealousy of other powers, and they secretly pay a high price to get rid of these heavenly geniuses. The waters of the death-seeking list are very deep. Sometimes, even if there is no death-seeking list, there will still be people who will kill these people. Even the major powers can't stop the death-seeking list from spreading. The Supreme God Sect is just treating it as a business. Us ordinary undead realm cultivators can only watch the show. But this time, the Supreme God Sect is putting out a bounty for a pill master called Fong Yu. More importantly, he's at the heavenly fusion realm. We have a great chance. If the Supreme God Sect is putting out a bounty like this, it means they can't do anything to Fong Yu. Do we have a chance? Fine. But if we really do meet him as a pill master, we can kill him and get a large amount of pills and pill recipes. We can become rich overnight. Huh. They laughed and chatted, using the death-seeking list as a topic of conversation. The people on the list had nothing to do with them. In the end, they even mentioned Su Fong. This allowed Su Fong to understand his current situation and just how dangerous it was. Fortunately, he had the life-shrinking technique. If he didn't, it would really be hard for him to escape the Supreme God sex pursuit. He quietly left the Supreme God commerce and found a small store to buy middle-grade pill cauldrons. After several days, he bought 3 cauldrons. Adding on the 3 yang cauldrons, he had 4 great pill cauldrons. It was enough for the 4 junior commanders and their servants to refine the yang strengthening pill. Roughly a month later, the 4 junior commanders returned one by one. They had completed Su Fong's task and bought enough ingredients to refine at least several 100,000 yang strengthening pills. Immortal Sealing sect when Su Fong returned. The first thing he did was to meet with Yin Kaifeng. Qingshan Dojo. Disciple didn't disgrace the mission and stepped into the immortality realm. Although I don't have a golden core, Disciple has gained experience in cultivation. Adding on the resources given by senior apprentice sister, Disciple was able to return from the immortality realm. Main hall. Yin Kaifeng's face was still covered with a silk scarf. Her exquisite robes were unable to hide her perfect figure. Su Fong bowed, showing that he respected Yin Kaifeng. He also slightly released his immortality realm aura. Yin Kaifeng said, "Your life force is extraordinary. No wonder you can step into the immortality realm so quickly without a golden core. How is your Daluo heavenly sword chi?" Whoosh! Several strands of sword chi seemed to fly out with the wind. They hummed in Su Fong's palm and circled around his body a few times. This was the sword chi that Su Fong had unleashed using the first layer of the grand heavenly sword chi. In fact, he had already cultivated the Daluo heavenly sword chi to the 3rd layer. It was comparable to an ordinary immortal realm cultivator, surpassing most immortal realm cultivators. You've more or less mastered the 1st level, so I'll teach you the 2nd level. Also, you can cultivate a 2nd divine ability. Of the 7 divine abilities of our sect, 4 can be cultivated at the same time before reaching the imperishable realm. As for the ruler's divine steps, the 10,000 God seal, and the immortal sealing scripture, they can only be cultivated after reaching the imperishable realm. I want to cultivate the heavenly steps. Yin Kaifeng had made it clear that one couldn't cultivate the heavenly steps without reaching the immortal realm, but Su Fong insisted. In fact, Yin Kaifeng had thought that Su Fong was just an immortal level cultivator. In fact, he had long known that some immortal disciples had cultivated the ruler's celestial steps. Perhaps even the Pantheon Seal had a few disciples cultivating it. Since Yin Kaifeng wanted to nurture him, she had to give him the resources. Su Fong was very meticulous. Originally, he didn't need Yin Kaifeng to teach him the heavenly steps from Green Feather King. But in the Immortal Sealing sect, if he could use it without formally learning it, it would be tantamount to stealing it. He had to have a legitimate reason to do so. All right, I'll teach you the 1st layer of the heavenly steps, as well as the footwork. Only by fusing the mental cultivation and footwork can you use this peerless superpower. With the heavenly steps, there will be very few immortal realm disciples who can do anything to you. Yin Kaifeng finally agreed to Su Fong's request. He transformed the 2nd layer of the Daluo heavenly sword chi and the 1st layer of the heavenly steps into imprints and poured them into Su Fong's body like a xianguang. Since you're already in the immortal realm, I'll give you a cultivation cave. How about it? No, I'm used to the old place. I feel that it's quiet and can avoid other disciples. I can focus on cultivation. Master, my next goal is the ranking list of young masters. I've decided that after some time, after stabilizing my cultivation, I'll start to challenge the ranking list of young masters. 1st layer of the immortal realm. You're a leapfrog. What's your real strength? Between the 9th and 10th layer. With the heavenly steps, the Daluo, Heavenly Sword Chi, and some special pills, it's comparable to the 10th layer of the immortal realm. Su Fong was full of confidence. The ranking list of young masters is set in the central space of the immortal heaven under the 7 Taoist temples. It's called the Sky Arena. You can go there and take a look when you're free. Zhao Wuji, whom you know, is already first on the ranking list of young masters and has stepped into the immortal heaven of the myriad Tao grotto heaven to cultivate. He's a disciple of the immortal heaven. I don't expect you to be in the top few. It's good enough if you can step into the 10th place. The current 10th place on the ranking list of young masters is a genius disciple from the Qingsheng grotto heaven. She's a female disciple called Yin Shu. She's been in the immortal realm for more than 10 years. If she can stay on the ranking list of young masters for a few years, she can step into the immortal heaven of the Qingsheng grotto heaven. The disciples of the Qingsheng grotto heaven once met the previous ranking list of young masters, Xing Xiu, in the Mystic Cave trial. Xing Xiu has already stepped into the immortal heaven in the 100 Years trial. He's about the same time as Qian Huanyin. He's now working hard to cultivate. After Yin Kaifeng finished, he briefly introduced the top 10 disciples on the ranking list of young masters. After Su Fong said goodbye, he went to find Zheng Daoxin. He asked him about the situation. Zheng Daoxin told him the most about Song Changsheng and the Sword Rider. The two of them were preparing to challenge the ranking list of young masters. And Zheng Daoxin revealed a piece of news that Su Fong was especially concerned about. Someone was looking for a heavenly fusion realm disciple called Lu Xing among the disciples of the Ice Moon Grotto Heaven. Of course, it's Hua Daoying or someone sent by Yin Chongluo. Hua Daoying is indeed capable. He didn't disgrace his status as an imperishable realm cultivator. He was able to confirm that I'm also from the celestial sealing sect from the aura of the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation after I left. Thinking back to the battle with Zhang Yunfei, it was fortunate that he hid his identity. Otherwise, if he offended Hua Daoying, it would be useless even if he used Fu Tianxin. Lu Xing, even if Hua Daoying and Yin Chongluo searched the entire celestial sealing sect, they wouldn't be able to find him. After sending Zheng Daoxin off, he naturally gave him a lot of benefits. After returning to his cave residence, he started to absorb the spiritual qi of the celestial sealing sect to stabilize his cultivation. With this king's ruler divine step seed, I guarantee that you'll be able to master the first mental cultivation technique within a month. In the competition for the mortal ranking, Su Fong could only use the divine abilities of the celestial sealing sect. So during this time, he focused on cultivating the grand firmament sword qi and the ruler divine step. In the process of comprehending the ruler divine step, Green Feather King had taken out several of the ruler divine step seeds sealed within his body. He wasn't stingy in helping Su Fong master the ruler divine step. The ruler divine step couldn't compare to the flame cloud steps in the illusory fire cloud. And in a minor world, the ruler divine step was already an incredible movement technique. After a long time, Su Fong suddenly floated up. His movement technique flickered, and it was like he was flying back and forth in the cave residence. It was impossible to see his figure clearly. One could only see him stepping through the air from time to time. The ruler divine step is mainly a movement technique. There are hundreds of movement techniques that combine the real and the illusory, combined with powerful strength and a special mental cultivation technique. It allows one to control the natural space and display astonishing movement techniques. No wonder this divine ability requires one to be at the imperishable realm or above to cultivate. Only imperishable realm experts can slowly gain the ability to control natural space, thought Su Fong. Chapter 210. Ruler Divine Steps. If it was just a pure movement technique, it naturally couldn't become a peerless divine ability. It required the use of nature, space, and all kinds of divine abilities. Within a certain space, one had to control space. Movement techniques were the use of space. Using space was something that only imperishable experts or even stronger experts could grasp. Ordinary cultivators could only look up to Actually, you can cultivate the Heavenly Devil Book more. This king has been studying the Heavenly Devil Book for a while now, but he can only see a part of it. It's a divine ability that fuses with one's yuan spirit. Heavenly devils are existences of a great world. Once you fuse the Heavenly Devil Book with your yuan spirit, your power will be limitless. You can directly destroy an enemy's yuan spirit and shatter their will. Green Feather King analyzed the Heavenly Devil Book step by step. Will and yuan spirit are incomparably weak to any cultivator. The heavenly devils mentioned in the Heavenly Devil Book have a higher status than true devils. It seems that heavenly devils mainly cultivate will. They're formed from will. That's why devils are the greatest enemies of humans. They can control will to attack the weakest part of a human's heart. A large amount of devil characters appeared in his mind. Su Fong said, "I can only see the beginning of the Heavenly Devil Book. I roughly know it's an offensive divine ability. It's incomparably powerful, but I didn't expect it to also come from a great world. And it's so unfathomable. Doesn't that mean even the 7 great divine abilities of the Immortal Sealing Sect can't compare to the Heavenly Devil Book? The 7 great divine abilities of the Immortal Sealing Sect can't compare to the Heavenly Devil Book. Even your illusory fire cloud can't compare. Only the Immortal Sealing Sect is a great divine ability. If you comprehend the Immortal Sealing Sect, you can have the possibility of becoming an immortal. But the Heavenly Devil Book is a devil path cultivation technique. You can only cultivate it. Then Junior will spend some time studying this devil path divine ability. There was no harm in having more skills, especially great divine abilities. Ordinary divine abilities were fine. He would try not to cultivate them. But great divine abilities were different. They could only be chanced upon. In the future, he would definitely come into contact with devil path experts. If he could master a devil path divine ability, he would have a way to deal with them. And because he had started studying the Heavenly Devil Book, he had activated the sealed golden core inside the violet Chi Law spirit. One of the black divine inscriptions was emitting a faint demonic light. This divine rune came from cultivating the Heavenly Devil Scripture. If his golden core hadn't been shattered, this divine rune would have been very obvious. Once the golden core was shattered, it would have lost its laws. Any divine rune that was condensed from divine runes could only be formed in other places. According to the mental cultivation method of the Heavenly Demon Book, he guided the demonic chi sealed in his golden core. In an instant, the demonic chi began to flow into his meridians. At this time, he slowly used the demonic chi. His primordial spirit entered the true demonic blood plate and began to comprehend the mental cultivation method of the Heavenly Demon Book. All energy arts and divine abilities were based on a large number of foundational mental mantras. Cultivators had to work on the foundational mental mantras bit by bit. Only after mastering the foundational mental mantras could they move on to a higher level of cultivation. For example, the Heaven Conqueror Divine Steps could be used to a certain extent by first cultivating ordinary footwork. However, in order to be able to use it in space, one had to comprehend a profound mental cultivation method. Everything in the world followed the same principle. Only by looking from the outside to the inside could one grasp the truth of things. His divine will was behind the true devil blood plate, making Su Fong feel as if he was in the devil world. The world was cold, and the mental cultivation method of the Heavenly Devil Scripture seemed to come from hell. As the mental cultivation method and devil chi circulated, Su Fong found that his divine will was shaking slightly, as if it was being pulled away by some kind of force. Previously, when he cultivated a portion of the Heavenly Devil Scripture's mental cultivation method, he only condensed devil chi. He didn't expect that there would be such an unfathomable divine will cultivation. Soon, Su Fong's divine will also turned into devil chi. The Heavenly Devil Scripture is indeed a kind of supreme devil, Tao, divine ability that combines physical cultivation with nothingness meditation. Although it also pays attention to the unity of heaven and man, the Heavenly Devil Scripture is more specialized in the cultivation of man. Man transcends heaven and earth, allowing the mind to break free from the shackles. After the mind is cultivated, it will eventually form a new form. This is the heavenly devil mentioned in the heavenly devil scripture. Fortunately, the Rock King analyzed it. Thinking and doing were two different things. For example, the Heaven Conqueror Divine Steps. He could easily learn the essence of the Heaven Conqueror Divine Steps from the Green Feather King. But what could Su Fong do? His strength couldn't reach the level of cultivating the Heaven Conqueror Divine Steps. It was the same for the Heavenly Devil Scripture. Su Fong understood some of the essence of the Heavenly Devil Scripture and knew what to cultivate, but he couldn't cultivate it because the Heavenly Devil Scripture came from the big world. Without the strength of an immortal, how could he cultivate the Heavenly Devil Scripture? Now, he could only continue to cultivate the superficial mental cultivation method step by step. Heavenly Devil, he could focus on the Heavenly Devil first. Could help to improve the primordial spirit, and the Heavenly Devil Scripture was a devil Tao divine ability evolved from will. It could help Su Fong condense the power of the primordial spirit. As he gradually cultivated, Su Fong felt like he had turned into thousands of raindrops and fell into a huge abyss. His will and body were about to separate into raindrops. Sky Arena located not far from the Seven Shang Peak. It was in a higher space than the Seven Shang Peak. The Sky Arena was the place for the ranking list of young masters. Disciples could look up at the high immortal heaven above, bringing endless fighting spirit. Every disciple could step into the high immortal heaven and become a small undead realm magnate. Whoosh! Su Fong flew over from the frozen moon paradise. He saw some disciples along the way and deliberately avoided them. Gradually, he arrived at a height of 30,000 feet. When he used his great perfection ability, he could see that the 7 grotto heavens were like 7 pillars that reached the heavens, standing tall around the Sky Arena. The 7 heavenly grottos are 7 different space-time formations. As you can see, they're circular spaces with 3 layers. The 3 layers represent the lower immortal heaven, the upper immortal heaven, and the immortal touch heaven. The immortal touch heaven at the top allows you to enjoy the purest spiritual chi of the immortal sealing sect. Unless you're an elite disciple at the imperishable realm, you won't be able to enter. Every disciple of the immortal sealing sect, every expert, grew up step by step like you. The great waves wash away the sand, and the great majority of disciples die along the way. Only 1 in 10,000 people can enter the immortal touch heaven, and only 1 in 100 imperishable realm disciples can become true titans. Master. Master is supreme, battle god is king. The Sky Arena was like a conical mountain that suddenly floated between the lower immortal heaven and the high immortal heaven. Just as Su Fong was about to fly to the Sky Arena, a group of figures flew over from the right. He thought it was the immortal sealing sect's disciples. But when he looked carefully, he saw over 20 gray-robed cultivators. Several of them were carrying a huge sedan chair. A young man in golden robes was sitting on the sedan chair. The man in golden robes made Su Fong's eyes narrow. This is the Golden Dragon Prince, ranked 5th on the ranking list of young masters. He's the prince of an empire on the Crimson Firmament continent. He was born with a golden spoon, a symbol of a dragon among men. If he were in the mortal world, he'd definitely be above everyone. The Golden Dragon Prince. Su Fong hadn't even entered the Sky Arena when he saw the Golden Dragon Prince. Whoosh! The Golden Dragon Prince was escorted by a group of gray-robed subordinates into the Sky Arena. Su Fong was very curious. Could it be that the immortal sealing sect's disciples could openly raise slaves? Of course they can. As long as you're strong, you can do anything. In the immortal sealing sect, strength is everything. Amongst the true big shots of the immortal sealing sect, there are some princes and princesses who raise quite a few slaves in their Taoist temples. They continue to live a life of being above others. The majority of experts raise puppets and slaves. It counts as raising their own power. I remember that Taoist Feng and Mo also ended up in the hands of the immortal sealing sect's disciples. That's his fate. Even an imperishable disciple didn't understand the immortal sealing sect as well as he did. Su Feng shook his head and sighed. I didn't expect that after thousands of years of cultivation, it would still be so difficult to wash away the dust of the mortal world. Boom! At this moment, the sky arena suddenly shook. Haha! It seems there's a disciple fighting over the ranking list of young masters. He's challenging that little prince, said Green Feather King cheerfully. Su Feng flew towards the sky battle stage. When he reached the top of the sky battle stage, the first thing he saw was a crowd of close to 1,000 people. On the side of the barrier, the Golden Dragon Prince's sedan floated in the air while the servants waited. At the center, the Golden Dragon Prince was fighting with a powerful being. The Golden Dragon Prince was using the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. The other person was using the Daluo Heavenly Sword Chi. At the top of the sky arena, there was a 300-meter bluestone. It was surrounded by names, and the 10 names at the center were especially prominent. They were the current top 10 experts of the ranking list of young masters. Pow, pow, pow. 1,000 people were watching outside the barrier. Su Feng swept his gaze over them. They were all longevity experts. Quite a few of them had reached the 10th heaven stage. They had clearly come for the ranking list of young masters. He still had memories of some of them. Some of them were from the profound cave trial, and some of them were from the 7 Injuries Peaks formation. Within the formation, the Golden Dragon Prince was using the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. The sky was filled with claw marks, and his opponent's Daluo Heavenly Sword Chi was being shattered layer by layer. They're all in the 10th heaven stage. The ranking list of young masters is a competition of those who can surpass their realms. They have to have profound magic power and extraordinary talent. People were chatting nearby. However, a few of them suddenly noticed Su Feng, and one of them immediately left the sky arena. Su Feng didn't notice that. He had only come to watch the sky arena and see the competition between experts. As expected, the Golden Dragon Prince's strength had reached the peak of the longevity realm. He was suppressing his opponent and winning step by step. Another person is going to leave his name. I wonder what rank he's going to challenge. A commotion broke out in the crowd. It turned out that a man had flown to the Bluestone and left his name beside the 8th ranked person. Challenge so, this was the way to challenge the top 10 on the ranking list of young masters. There he is. After half an incense stick's worth of time, the Golden Dragon Prince was about to defeat his challenger. However, a group of people gradually approached Su Feng. Su Feng also sensed the commotion. He secretly glanced over and was startled. Song Changsheng. More than a dozen longevity realm experts flew over from behind and then approached aggressively. Su Feng recognized the leader at a glance. It was Song Changsheng, who was pushed into the wind blades by him in the Mystic Cave trial. In the end, the wind blades cut off his left arm. Looking at his left arm, it really did grow out a perfect arm. If I had this ability, wouldn't I be able to restore my father's appearance? What he didn't expect wasn't a threat. Instead, the image of his father's tortured face appeared in his mind. His heart trembled slightly. Su Feng, you actually dared to leave the training ground. Song Changsheng angrily approached. The other experts were watching the show. The other party was coming aggressively, but Su Feng was calm and composed. That day, you wanted to steal my treasure, so you accidentally fell into a wind blade and had your left arm cut off. Does it have anything to do with me? When Song Changsheng heard this, his nostrils were burning with killing intent. At that time, I was kind and want to help you out. However, you had ulterior motives and stabbed me in the back. Chapter 211. Su Feng engaged in a battle of words. Senior Apprentice Brother Song, you're a longevity expert, while I was only at Heavenly Union at that time. Do you think I'm the one with ulterior motives, or you? At this time, many experts surrounded them. More and more people came. There were at least 100 people. Song Changsheng was still as arrogant as ever. As you said, I'm a longevity realm expert who's about to break through to the undying realm. Why should I go against you? If you cut off my left arm, I can go anywhere with a reason because you owe me a left arm. Your left arm was cut off by a wind blade. What does that have to do with me? You were the one who didn't look where you were going. You ran into a wind blade in the profound cave, and you even pulled that groundless hatred onto me. I respect you, so I call you senior apprentice brother. But if you're so overbearing, what qualifications do you have to be my teacher? You can't argue with me. My left arm is broken, and you still want to deny it. Today, I'm not bullying you. It's me who wants your left arm back. I don't want anything else. I just want your left arm. Seeing Su Fong fight back, Song Changxing's killing intent exploded. Sweeping his gaze over the experts around him, Su Fong realized how many of them were his enemies who had snatched his empty pouch. It seemed he was trapped in a pack of wolves today, and he was just a delicious piece of roasted meat. He was fearless in the face of danger. In front of Song Changjiang and countless other experts who wanted his empty pouch, he boldly roared, "So what if I'm at Heavenly Union? I won't let you bully me until you shit on me." This is the Sky Arena. It's also a competition for the mortal ranking. Fong Yu, today I'm not competing with you, but asking for your left arm back. Today, whoever comes will have to return me my left arm. Swish! Song Changsheng was clearly getting rid of Su Fong. In that instant, his aura exploded, pushing his Daluo heavenly sword chi to condense into sword light. When Song Changsheng was several meters away from Su Fong, he pulled the sword light apart with both hands. It was like a waterfall of sword light, sweeping towards Su Fong. Powerful. He was no longer at the 7th longevity stage, but at the 9th longevity stage. Song Changxing's strength had increased greatly, and he had cultivated the great overarching heavenly sword chi to the 2nd level. He had also fused some techniques that he had comprehended on his own, which was why he was able to fuse them into a waterfall of sword chi. Sword waterfall. Song Changsheng released a sinister gaze. At this moment, he wanted to control the sword waterfall and kill Su Fong. At this moment, Su Fong was like a stone in a stream. A stream can't move a stone, but a waterfall, the torrential waterfall of swords, surged over with a vast momentum. Even if it was a large rock, it would still be overturned and drowned. Whoosh whoosh. Su Fong's body movement technique flashed. It contained some of the basic footwork of the ruler's deity steps. Together with his own speed, he leaped up and arrived above the waterfall of swords. He stepped on the waterfall and dodged again and again. He is not at the heavenly fusion realm. He's at the immortality realm. It seems like he's entered the immortality realm from the mysterious cave trial and the large amount of resources he obtained from the Seven Moons Peak. What shocking reaction speed! A good portion of the surrounding experts had enmity with Su Fong. As for the others, they either had enmity with him or knew that Su Fong had obtained a great treasure during the 100-year trial. He had also taken the empty pouches of 1,000 people who didn't treat him as prey. Whoever could suppress Su Fong would be able to obtain his treasures. For example, the Rainbow Soul Absorbing Bell, or the thousands of empty pouches. Just how many pure spirit pills and magic items were there? Not even 10 years had passed since the 100-year trial. It seemed like a long time, but in truth, all the disciples of the low immortal heaven were still thinking about Su Fong's treasures. Whoosh whoosh. After a few more flashes, Su Fong's sword waterfall seemed to be rising again and again. If this waterfall of swords covered the entire Zhao imperial city, it would instantly be destroyed and razed to the ground. Fortunately, Su Fong was an immortality realm cultivator. This place was not a mortal world. Song Changsheng, how are you trying to take my left arm? You're clearly trying to kill me. Su Fong seemed to be out of breath as he dodged again and again. I only want your arm, but if you resist, then I won't care if you're dead or alive. I didn't expect you to have reached the first layer of the immortality realm. Song Changsheng was very powerful and could control the waterfall of swords smoothly. Seeing that Su Fong was gradually losing, he also revealed his original goal: kill Su Fong. In this situation, Su Fong did not want to continue fighting with Song Changsheng. After all, they were both disciples of the Ice Moon Cave Heaven. He immediately called for reinforcements. I have senior martial brother Fu Tianshan behind me. Fu Tianshan, how useful. Song Changsheng's sword waterfall danced and move slower. His expression was uncertain. That's right, Fu Tianxin was an undying realm expert. Don't try to scare me with the immortal heaven experts. If you have the ability, then invite one out. Oomph. Song Changsheng was not a paper tiger that could be scared with just a few words. Waterfall chain. The waterfall of swords changed shape. A few waterfalls of swords separated from it and formed a chain that looked like a dragon coiling around. Chi. These waterfalls of swords had an astonishing speed. Taking advantage of Su Fang's dodging, they fiercely pounced on Su Fang's back. Heaven Ruler Divine steps with a thought. It's time. Su Fang secretly stared at Song Changsheng. On the day of the official challenge, I will use the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps and the Daluo Heaven Sword Chi. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Seeing that the chains of swords were about to strangle Su Fang to death, they did not expect Song Changsheng to flash out of the chains of swords like a gust of wind. Someone immediately shouted, Heaven Ruler Divine Steps. It's the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps. He's just an immortality realm disciple. How can he cultivate the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps? Everyone was shocked. Everyone knew that this was a divine ability that ordinary disciples could not cultivate. Looks like you've gained the favor of the dojo. But do you think that by using the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps, I will be afraid of the higher-ups? You owe me an arm, so I have to take it back. Once the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps was used, everyone was shocked. Song Changsheng was the same. But today he was determined to kill Su Fang. This was the best opportunity. He could not let Su Fang continue to advance like this. Doesn't this person not have a golden core? How can he advance from the heavenly fusion realm to the immortality realm in such a short time? Another person was puzzled. Daluo Heaven Sword Formation. An eye for an eye. After using the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps, Su Fang flashed to the side. He was especially cautious because he was only at Immortality Realm Stage 1, while his opponent was at Immortality Realm Stage 9. Even if he was someone who surpassed his level, his strength was around Immortality Realm Stage 9. In reality, his strength was not much different from Song Changsheng's. They could only compete with divine abilities. Daluo Heaven Sword Chi. Su Fang shouted loudly. A large amount of sword gleams filled the surroundings. The sword gleams formed and began to merge into a connected sword formation. Immortality Realm Stage 1. His strength is actually so strong. Previously, he had been dodging, but now, Su Fang had executed the ruler's celestial steps. Now, he had unleashed the Daluo Heavenly Sword Chi. The surrounding longevity realm disciples could all feel that Su Fang had mastered this mystique to the extent that he could use it as he pleased. Exploding sword style. Song Changsheng also felt threatened. It was a threat brought by strength and divine abilities. At this moment, he realized that the person he was facing was not at Immortality Realm Stage 1, but an expert with the same cultivation as him. After forming the hand seals, when Su Fang's Daluo Heaven Sword Formation swept over, a sword waterfall rushed up. The sword chi inside was spinning rapidly. With a boom, the moment the sword waterfall touched the Daluo Heaven Sword Formation, the sword formation was blown to pieces. Strength against strength. Song Changsheng is indeed an expert. They both used the Daluo Heaven Sword Chi. They both did not rely on magic treasures. They relied on the strength of their own cultivation. When the sword chi shattered, Su Fang was sent flying. It was also the first time he used the position of a celestial sealing sex immortality realm disciple to deal with Song Changsheng. In these years, Su Fang's experiences were incomparable to those in the immortality realm. Fighting against the unparalleled Thunder King, Zhang Yunfei. Seizing treasures in the underground magma world of the spirit sex ruins. Being chased by the supreme god sex experts. These experiences had caused Su Fang to lose the mentality of an ordinary disciple. He was already an expert who could move unhindered in the Crimson Firmament continent, fight against strong enemies, and barge into forbidden areas. However, this was the Celestial Sealing Sect, and he was a Celestial Sealing Sex disciple. He should abide by the sex rules. Therefore, he could not use any external power. He could only rely on the divine abilities he obtained as a disciple and his own strength to fight with Song Changsheng. If he could use external power, any one of the 34 slaves could kill Song Changsheng. In the sky where the sword chi dispersed, Song Changsheng controlled the long sword waterfall. His forehead was covered in beads of sweat. It seemed that the consumption was shocking. However, in order to kill Su Fong, he did not hesitate to use any energy to push the surrounding sword waterfall forward. Continuous sword explosion. The sword waterfall was almost 300 meters long. It was truly spectacular. Moreover, its aura was full of killing intent and suppression. If it was a cultivator below the 8th level of the immortal life realm, they would definitely be frightened out of their wits. However, Su Fong was not an ordinary cultivator. He had even dealt with imperishable realm experts. He would not refuse a mere 9th level expert. The sword waterfall all rolled towards Su Fong. Even if he used the ruler's divine steps, he could not dodge. Break! A large number of sword formations were sucked into Su Fong's hands. At the same time, his body activated the flesh fetus divine armor. This was an ability that only immortal realm experts could start cultivating. A sword chi condensed from the sword formation. As Su Fong took a step forward, the sword in the sky slashed a large number of sword waterfalls that surrounded him. Boom! Boom! The sword chi exploded. This time, it was wrapped around Su Fong. The previous sword chi explosion overturned Su Fong. This time, the explosion was several times bigger. Wouldn't it kill Su Fong? Song Changsheng came over panting. Looking at the explosion in the sky, he glared angrily. You're still not dead this time. It was obvious how much he hated Su Fong. Song Changsheng, Fong Yu has my empty bag. Once he dies, I will naturally take it back. Me too. Everyone thought that Su Fong was dead. Even if he did not die, he would be seriously injured. Dozens of experts who had been watching the show a second ago no longer cared about anything else and slowly surrounded the exploding sword chi in the air. Song Changsheng was angry. You want to be enemies with me? This is between me and Fong Yu. If you have the ability, you shouldn't have killed me before. You are too despicable and shameless. It's a matter of killing you. Why should we let you kill Fong Yu? He owes me the empty bag. I will take it back. It's the same as you asking him for his left arm. That's right. The crowd was getting closer and closer. Song Changsheng's eyes were bloodshot. He wanted to take revenge and take Su Fong's treasures. Song Changsheng had calculated everything, but he did not consider how many people were jealous and coveting Su Fong's treasures. Even if they were enemies with him, they wanted Su Fong's treasures. Whoosh! Everyone was waiting for the exploding sword chi to completely dissipate before rushing over to take Su Fong's empty bag. However, over 100 people had appeared around them. But who would have thought that something unexpected would happen? Song Changsheng was infuriated. 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Just as he was thinking of a solution, a figure suddenly appeared from the exploding sword chi. It appeared from his left. Puffed. There was almost no feeling or reaction. Song Changsheng's left arm was separated from his body by the Daluo, heavenly sword chi. I'm sorry, but this time I really do owe you my left arm. A bloody mist flashed, and the sword chi condensed. Su Fong held the Daluo, heavenly sword chi, and stared at the paralyzed Song Changsheng. Chapter 2:12. Sorry, I really owe you my left hand this time. It was like a bolt from the blue. Not only did it explode in Song Changsheng's mind, but it also exploded in the minds of the 100 or so people who wanted to snatch his empty pouch. Beneath the bloody mist, a lone left arm fell to the ground. The Zenith Heaven sword chi in Su Fong's hand hummed slightly as he floated beside the limp and powerless Song Changsheng. Su Fong calmly looked at the eyes that looked like bandits. Fong Yu, am right here. If any of you want my empty pouch or want to snatch my treasures, come out and fight me outside the Sky Arena. Don't sneak around. Fong Yu, I'll kill you. Give me back my arm. Song Changsheng struggled. He looked at his left arm falling into the forest and waved his right hand to grab it. But he was in so much pain that he couldn't circulate his energy. Suddenly, a xianguang flew out his right hand. Bang! The xianguang was just about to explode when Su Fong rushed over and struck it with his palm. Rules cannot be broken. In the sect, no disciple can use their Dharma treasures to fight. Why is that Fong Yu so strong? It's like he can't be killed. Many disciples who wanted to snatch his empty pouch were forced to leave. Song Changsheng was once again humiliated by Su Fong. He actually had the strength to suppress him. Fong Yu, I'll kill you. The Sky Arena's competition is also over. The Golden Dragon Prince is still 5th on the mortal ranking. At this moment, the Sky Arena's barrier shook. The battle inside had ended, and a heavily injured disciple slowly landed on the ground. The Golden Dragon Prince flew out and sat on the dragon palanquin once more. His aura was still majestic. The geniuses on the mortal ranking were just this strong. You can't kill my Song family's disciples as you please. After the Golden Dragon Prince flew out, over 1,000 spectators flew over to Su Fong and Song Changsheng to watch the show. But Song Changsheng's medallion suddenly buzzed, and a door appeared above the Sky Arena. At the same time, a domineering voice came out. Song Changsheng immediately welcomed spring. It's coming. Fong Yu, this time I'll also make you lose both your arms. Everyone disperse. It's senior brother undying from the high immortal heaven. As soon as the door appeared, the thousands of people surrounding them all stopped in their tracks. An expert from the Song family, Su Fong said, glancing at the wonderful door and then at Song Changsheng. After killing a small mouse, another big mouse came. Song Changsheng, you're a master of the 9th layer of the longevity realm and have cultivated for hundreds of years. Look at me. I'm only a disciple of the 1st layer of the longevity realm. There's no need for us to fight to the death. If you die, I won't rest. The latter revealed a sinister and smug smile. Do you know the difference between you and me? Then let me tell you, if I lost my left arm and was defeated, I definitely wouldn't find someone to stand up for me. Instead, I would become even stronger and grow stronger from the setbacks. But you're acting like a coward. You're just saying the grapes are sour because you can't eat them. My Song family has 1,000 years of foundation in the immortal sealing sect. As for you, you're just a rogue cultivator who came from who knows where. You have no resources to use and no one to stand up for you. You're just looking for a reason to comfort yourself, aren't you? Think whatever you want. Do you think that just because an undying expert stands up for you, you could do anything to me? In a bit, I'll also become worse than a pig or a dog. Then open your eyes wide and take a look. Today's ending will be completely different from what you think. In for a penny, in for a pound. Su Fong's eyes revealed a strange smile. That smile seemed to come from the darkness. Bang! At the same time that he suppressed the xianguang, Su Fong kicked Song Changsheng's lower abdomen. A golden light was sucked into Su Fong's palm. I want your gold core. Give it to me, my gold core. His gold core was stolen. Only now did Song Changsheng feel despair. He saw a life worse than death. Unfortunately, at this moment, Su Fong once again shattered all his meridians. Crackle! A series of explosions surged out of his body, and every explosion was accompanied by a bloody mist. Song Changsheng, last time you wanted to steal my treasure, I didn't care. But this time, you want to kill me in front of everyone. Do you think I'm a pushover? Today, I'll take your gold core and shatter all your meridians. From this moment on, you'll be a complete cripple. You want to take revenge on me? Haha, maybe in your next life. Within the bloody mist, Song Changsheng could no longer control his body. He had lost his gold core, and all his meridians had been shattered. He was already a cripple. A heart-wrenching scream suddenly filled the Sky Arena with sorrow. I'm here. You still dare to touch my Song family's people? Ruthless. Su Fong, who had always seemed weak and had been repeatedly bullied and hunted down, had actually snatched Song Changsheng's gold core in front of over 1,000 experts from the 7 heavenly grottos. Not only that, he had even shattered all of Song Changsheng's meridians. It was the same as killing Song Changsheng. As for the figure in the profound door, there were a few more figures behind him. Which one of them wasn't an undying expert? This was a man around 30 years old. With a single glance, it was clear he was also from the Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto. Furthermore, he was an undying expert from the high immortal heaven. Within the immortal sealing sect, if it was a family, most of them would cultivate in the same Taoist temple. Clearly, the Song family was the same. The Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto is fratricidal. Some disciples whispered amongst themselves. They were curious about what kind of surprises this show would bring them. Senior apprentice brother. Su Fong looked at the man and nodded slightly. Senior apprentice brother, you're also from the high immortal heaven. Could it be that you want to deal with a low immortal heaven disciple like me? I'm just a celestial immortal disciple. I'm insignificant. Could it be that a respected disciple like you would lower yourself to deal with me? The man coldly stared at him. You have a glib tongue, twisting words, and forcing logic. You killed my Song family's cultivators, and you think you could take it for granted? How will the Song family have a foothold in the Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto? I am Song Chi, a high immortal heaven disciple. Today, even if I have to break the rules, I will take your gold core and shatter your meridians. It seems there are no laws in the immortal sealing sect. This has nothing to do with laws. It's a personal grudge. A debt must be repaid with money, and a life must be repaid with a life. Do you think I, Song Chi, have to abide by the rules? Seeing as you bully my Song family's cultivators, your Tao path has come to an end. Song Chi moved all of a sudden, and his undying power turned into a huge net that could suppress any immortal-level powerhouse. Even his aura alone could suppress Su Fong, let alone his divine ability. In front of this, Su Fong was like a curtain falling from the sky. He was insignificant. The surrounding experts all sighed at Su Fong's bad luck. It was also their bad luck that Su Fong was going to die at Song Chi's hands. His empty pouch would naturally be Song Chi's. As for Su Fong, who should have been begging for mercy or running away, he calmly looked to the side. It's time for you to attack. No one can save you today. Song Chi was already 30 meters above him. Song Chi, give me some face. A figure suddenly appeared in front of Su Fong. Song Chi was surprised to see Heavenly God Fu. I heard you said you would protect this brat for 10 years for the barbarian Mark Divine Force Cauldron. Is that true? That figure was the one who had bought the barbarian Mark Divine Force Cauldron. 10 years. A few years later, Su Fong had summoned him to protect him for the first time. Heavenly God Fu was too powerful, at least in the lower immortal heaven. He looked at Song Chi. I have to keep my word. Since I promised to protect him for 10 years, no one is allowed to harm him during those 10 years unless they're stronger than me. Then I can only blame myself for not being able to fulfill my promise. Song Chi, you can leave. You're not my match, and we're both disciples of Ice Moon Paradise. You also know that we'll meet frequently. Give me some face today and hand this person over to him. Count it as me owing you a huge favor. I'm only going to protect him for 10 years. There's only a few years left. You can wait for that time to pass before attacking him. I won't stop you at that time. His life and death has nothing to do with me. But I want today. Song Chi frowned. Heavenly God, Fu shook his head. Not today. With me here, you won't be able to harm him. The two little giants from the high immortal heaven drew their swords and were about to fight to the death. Hey, no one would have thought that Su Fong, who was sandwiched between the two giants, would be like an ant in front of an undying expert. He sneered at Song Chi. Before, I called you senior apprentice brother because you were from Ice Moon Paradise. But now that you want to kill me, I don't need to call you senior apprentice brother anymore. Heavenly God Fu was first startled, and then his expression sank. He was angry. He had been trying to persuade Song Chi, but now Su Fong was provoking him. Wasn't that a waste of his protection? Song Chi sneered. Who cares about a nameless ant like you? In front of me, you're just an ant in my hand. No matter what, you won't be able to escape from my grasp. Song Chi, you'll end up like Song Chongsheng in the future. Su Fong used an arrogant and disdainful tone to provoke Song Chi. Ha! Song Chi laughed uproariously. The surrounding experts also snorted disdainfully. You can treat it as a joke, but I'm a man of my word. In the future, you'll personally experience Song Changsheng's pain. Su Fang looked at Heavenly God Fu. Since I exchanged the barbarian Mark Divine Cauldron with you, you have to fulfill your promise and protect me for 10 years. I only have 3 years left. In those 3 years, no undying disciple will be able to harm me. But if an undying expert wants to attack me, I won't need your protection because you don't have that ability. You're very arrogant. You know I'm protecting you, but you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Heavenly God, Fu's expression sank. He hadn't expected Su Fang to directly attack him. Song Qi once more laughed wildly. This disciple called Fang Yu is a madman. Heavenly God Fu, why do you have to be so nice to someone who's giving you the cold shoulder? It's not worth it. Fu Tian Shun snorted disdainfully. His cold expression revealed his arrogance. He's arrogant, he's ignoring me. That's his business, but I still have to fulfill my promise. Song Qi, if you don't leave, I won't be polite to you today. I've already reached the 10th undying layer, and I'm trying to break through to the undead layer. You won't even be my opponent. If you continue being impudent, I'll make you leave lying down. All right, we form a grudge. You should know that my Song family's power in the sect is just asking for trouble because of the barbarian Mark Divine Cauldron. Song Qi suddenly smiled icily. He glanced at Su Fang and left unwillingly. If you don't work hard in these 3 years, I won't be able to protect you in the future. Look at how confident you are. You definitely understand what I'm trying to say. Swoosh. Heavenly God Fu also left. Aren't you trying to make me understand that the only way to gain a foothold is through strength? Su Fang had long since understood that. He ignored Song Changsheng and the gazes of countless people and used the ruler's divine steps to disappear. Chapter 2:13. Frozen Moon Cave. Su Fang came back quietly. He thought that the incident at the Sky Challenge Arena should not be known by the disciples. However, as soon as he stepped into the bounded domain, Yin Caifeng's summon came from the token. Green Mountain Dojo. He came to the main hall and saw Yin Caifeng. It seemed that it was because of the previous incident. Yin Caifeng said bluntly, "There is also a sect master behind Song Changsheng. I just learned that you took back his golden elixir and destroyed his Taoist body." As expected, he remained calm and collected, but he was furious. "This is not my fault. If I did not have the strength, I would have lost my golden elixir, my left arm, and even my life. Song Changsheng has tried to harm me time and time again. If I continue to indulge him, I will be doomed eternally. Killing is forbidden in the sect, but the rules are set for the weak. It has no effect on the strong and the geniuses. I understand your situation. I called you here not to blame you, but to remind you. After all, we are all Frozen Moon Cave. Don't be too ruthless. You have offended many people. If you offend everyone in Frozen Moon Cave, how will you survive in the future? Strength." Yin Caifeng praised Su Fang's courage and confidence. Now, let's talk about something else. Last time, the strange phenomenon caused the third sun to rise in the sky. This time, the appearance of the strange sun caused many demons to appear on the Crimson Clouds continent. Some diabolism forces once again infiltrated the Crimson Clouds continent. Even some diabolism forces from other small worlds began to come to the Crimson Clouds continent as ordinary cultivators through the world passage. Therefore, the disciples of the sect will no longer stay in the dojo to cultivate, but will go out to carry out various tasks. You have to speed up the fight for the ranking of diabolism. After you are nominated for the ranking of diabolism, make a few more contributions, and you will be able to enter the celestial heaven as a longevity realm. When you step there, you will be recognized as a genius. One day, you will enter the celestial heaven and become the core of the sect. Yes, who would have thought that the Crimson Firmament continent would quietly undergo so many changes? Last time, in the ruins of the Spirit sect, they encountered the Green Lotus Sword sect from another world. Then, they encountered the resurrection of the true devil of Boruo. All kinds of big goblin went berserk, and they all recorded what Caifeng said. He returned to the cave abode and continued to cultivate. The battle with Song Changsheng had given Su Fong a thorough understanding of the immortal-level powerhouses of the Celestial Sealing Sect. The Celestial Sealing Sect was indeed a major power. The disciples of the Longevity Sect were proficient in their supernatural powers and had abundant energy in their bodies. If they were equipped with Dharma weapons, they would all be experts if they went to other places. If one wanted to challenge an expert on the ranking list of young masters, one would need to be strong enough. I have to quickly nominate the mortal list and then go out to carry out a few missions. Once I make some contributions, I will be able to step into the immortal heaven stage with the second or third level of the longevity stage. At that time, I will be able to get close to the higher-ups, and maybe I will be able to find out about the purple cheese spirit as well as the whereabouts of Shao Mayer's sex pill cauldron. Once I obtain the purple cheese spirit, I will have the qualifications to go back and see my father. With that in mind, he began to search through all of the empty pouches he had looted, looking for any energy arts related to sword formations. Sky Arena. There was no competition for the mortal list in the Sky Arena today, so there was not a single cultivator around. One of the clouds suddenly transformed into a human figure, and Su Fong walked out. Another flash, and he appeared on the 300-meter tall blue stone, right in front of the top 10. Zhao Wuji. First place on the mortal list. Zhao Wuji. Su Fong wanted to challenge him, but in order to find out the whereabouts of the purple cheese spirit, he had to endure. If he did, Zhao Wuji would have to be eliminated. Looking down, there were a few names he had seen before. 10th place was also mentioned by Yin Kaifeng, the genius girl from Qingxing Paradise, Yin Shu. Woman. Looking up, his heart skipped a beat. I can't always focus on the mortal list. I have to go out and sell the impotence pill. I have to succeed in one challenge and then endure more challenges to stabilize my position. Once I get the approval of the higher-ups of Frost Moon Paradise, I can leave the mortal list and enter the immortal heaven stage. 6th place was a genius from Frost Moon Paradise. There was only one person from Frost Moon Paradise in the top 10. It did seem like Frost Moon Paradise was weak among the 7 great dojos. Forget about 3rd place. If I don't fight against Zhao Wuji, I'll challenge 2nd place. Such a position is enough to make Frost Moon Paradise look at me in a new light. In the past few hundred years, no disciple from Frost Moon Paradise has ever taken 2nd place. Even Qian Huanyun is only below 5th place. His gaze slowly fell on the 2nd place. Xiang Ying, a genius from lower immortal heaven stage. A peerless genius who was still in 2nd place after 3 challenges. Below the 2nd place was the genius from Ethereal Grotto, and the 4th place was also from Ethereal Grotto. It seemed that Ethereal Grotto was taking the top few positions step by step. It's you, Xiang Ying, the genius of Frost Moon Paradise. Su Fong slowly condensed a spirit tattoo and carved his name at the bottom right of the 2nd place, behind the 3 names that were already there. Fong Yu. Buzz. As soon as his name was engraved, a faint Xianguang appeared on the mortal list. At the same time, a Yuan spirit voice passed through countless layers of space and entered Su Fong's mind. You want to challenge 2nd place? Yin Kaifeng, I didn't expect her to sense it so quickly. I'm afraid the top 10 geniuses on the mortal list have all sensed it, as well as the upper echelons of the 7 great grotto heavens. Su Fong flew out of the formation and glanced at the mortal list. He calmly replied, Master, Frost Moon Paradise has never had a person in the top 3 of the mortal list in all these years. This time, I want my name to remain in the top 3 and enter the high immortal heaven. That's your choice. I have nothing to say, but you have to think of a way to understand your opponent, Xiang Ying. Xiang Ying's family is a hegemon. Almost every disciple of the Xiang family is a genius. Yin Caifeng's divine sense dissipated. Returning to the dojo, the first thing he did was invite Zheng Daoxin. This person was also on the verge of reaching the high immortal heaven. He also had a deep understanding of the 7 great grotto heavens. The Xiang family really is a big power. Song Changxing's Song family can't compare to them. In our immortal sealing sect, the Xiang family is one of the representatives of the various families. From the low immortal heaven to the high immortal heaven to the immortal touching heaven, there are quite a few geniuses from the Xiong family. Not only does the Xiong family have a powerful background in the sect, but I also heard that they have secretly set up a merchant association on the Crimson Firmament continent. So the Xiong family's disciples are all rich young masters. After Zheng Daoxin arrived at the Immortal's Cave, she received a lot of benefits from Su Fang, and then went on and on about Xiang Ying's clan. Hearing that Su Fang wanted to challenge Xiang Ying, Zheng Daoxin was so frightened that he almost fell to the ground. By challenging Xiang Ying, you're indirectly offending him. And he comes from the heaven and earth grotto heaven. That a grotto heaven on the same level as the Misty Dao sect. If you lose, they won't care about the weak. But if you win, then you'll really offend the Xiong family. Don't blame me for being rude. Zheng Daoxin came back to his senses. With his shrewdness, he knew that Su Fang was no longer a minor figure. He chuckled. Since you've already issued the challenge, you'll be offending him no matter what. So you might as well fight for victory. If you can get second place, then that will give the grotto heaven's face. Zheng Daoxin really was a smooth talker. He had played the role of snobbish to the fullest. After sending off Zheng Daoxin, Su Fang was also looking forward to his battle with Xiang Ying. Not only was he in the 10th level of the longevity realm, but he was also an extraordinary expert. A few days later, Su Fang received a response from his token. It was a direct message from the higher-ups. The message was very simple. Xiang Ying accepted the challenge. The arena battle would take place 1 month from now. In 1 month, with his ability and resources, his strength would definitely improve. Aside from the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Qi and the Ruler Heavenly Divine Steps, you are indeed invincible among the Immortal Sealing Sect's disciples. However, during cultivation, Su Fang discussed the Ruler Heavenly Divine Steps with Greenfeather King. Greenfeather King was not like before. He was full of approval for Su Fang. You should know that the Immortal Sealing Sect is a hegemon on the Crimson Firmament continent. They rely on a large number of disciples, and among those disciples, there are always some extraordinary existences. For example, that desolate physique expert you encountered before. Once he matures, he will become a pillar of the Immortal Sealing Sect. Perhaps he will even be a candidate to become the next leader. This king means that aside from the 2 great divine abilities and the flesh embryo divine armor, you must also grasp an advantage that others cannot grasp. Junior understands senior's meaning. Prepare an extra method to win. Even if my opponent exceeds my expectations, I will still be able to defeat them. That's the principle. The experts who establish themselves in the Immortal Sealing Sect have to be proficient in the sect's inherited divine abilities. On the other hand, they have to learn some techniques that do not belong to the Immortal Sealing Sect. Only by combining them can they surpass the majority of the disciples. But the techniques I can use right now are all from the smaller world. Have you forgotten the Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal? Isn't that also a cultivation technique from the greater world? The Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal is a divine ability that cultivates the Yuan spirit. It's not an ordinary divine ability. Most divine abilities require spiritual energy to be used. Once you use it, you can see whether it's demon chi or devil chi. But the Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal is different. It attacks the enemy's Yuan spirit and destroys their will. As long as you use the Immortal Sealing Sect's core to fuse with your Yuan spirit, even peak experts won't be able to tell that it's a cultivation technique from the Immortal Sealing Sect. Furthermore, it's a grand divine ability from the devil race. How many righteous experts in the lesser world will be able to see through it? That's also true. In terms of divine abilities and strength, not only will I be able to compete with the Immortal Sealing Sect's experts, but I'll also have an advantage in terms of Yuan spirit attacks. The Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal was built on the foundation of the Heavenly Devil Scripture. It was a grand divine ability from the Devil Path that used consciousness and willpower to attack. It was something only supreme heavenly devils could use. If it weren't for the true devil bloodplate, how could such a heaven-defying devil art have appeared in the lesser world? Devils were originally the embodiment of evil. They specialized in restraining the weakest part of the human soul. Su Fong began to comprehend the heavenly devil disintegration seal. Fortunately, his magic power was profound and he was full of energy. He could start using his Yuan spirit. In the sky arena, it was rare for the immortal sealing sex, heavenly grotto heaven, to have such a natural change. At this time, a large number of disciples appeared around the sky arena. From the longevity realm to the heavenly fusion realm, there were 1,000 people in a short time. Patriarch, do you think Fangyu will succeed? Several experts from the myriad Dao, grotto heaven, floated in the crowd, especially one of them. Everyone who saw him would automatically stay away. Zhao Wuji, first place on the mortal ranking. Chapter 214. The Eighth Prince, Zhao Chengjing, and Lu Lan were beside him. There were also a few experts from the myriad Dao Grotto who seemed to have a good relationship with Zhao Wuji. They were all geniuses in the 10th level of the immortality realm. Hearing the Eighth Prince's question, Zhao Wuji stared at the sky arena. I know about Xiang Ying. I've seen him challenge a few times, and he's very strong. He's almost at the first level of the undying realm. He's a true immortality realm genius. He's not like the others who are also at the 10th level of the immortality realm. Brother Zhang, it seems you're certain that Xiang Ying will continue to be second. One of the geniuses from the myriad Dao Grotto looked at him with interest. I'm just here to learn more about my opponents. Maybe they'll challenge me tomorrow. However, Fang Yu's rise is very shocking. He's attracted the attention of most of the experts on the mortal ranking. That's right. This Fang Yu used the rainbow soul-absorbing bell to snatch away my friend's empty pouch. It's better to have more friends than more enemies, especially friends with experts. The benefits are self-evident. The experts were all focused on Zhao Wuji. It seemed like Zhao Wuji was already getting along well in the myriad Dao Grotto. Every expert was trying to curry favor with him. After all, he was the #1 genius in the myriad Dao Grotto. In the future, he would definitely be a genius in the immortal heaven. Chi! Thousands of people were gathered in the sky arena. All of a sudden, a figure appeared in front of the enchantment of the sky fighting ring. His footwork left many experts dumbfounded. Ruler divine, steps the 8th prince stared at the figure. Ancestor, it's Fang Yu. Yes, it's him. I met him once in the profound caves trial. I didn't expect him to become an existence standing at the peak of the immortal heaven in such a short time. He must have obtained many treasures in the profound caves trial. Ha! Hearing the discussion, Zhao Wuji smiled faintly. In his opinion, there were only 2 reasons why a person could increase their strength in such a short time. First, they had to be hardworking and had outstanding talent. Second, they had to have resources and quickly rise. Actually, there was a third reason. Adding the first 2 reasons together, they had to be a dragon amongst people who had both talent and resources. As far as Zhao Wuji was concerned, there were very few geniuses in the house of immortal sealing who could fulfill the first 2 requirements. I came too early. Su Fong floated above the barrier and gazed at the thousands of people around him. He saw many disciples from the frozen moon cave heaven, including Zheng Daoxin. There were also familiar faces in the other grotto heavens. Su Fong had locked onto the 8th prince, Zhao Chengjing, and naturally saw Zhao Wuji again. Su Jinhua, Qin Feng, Lu Han also came. Looking around, Su Fong saw many familiar faces. Su Jinhua, you took benefit from the Lin clan and the Gongsun clan and almost poisoned me. You're just an ordinary longevity disciple. I don't need to settle accounts with you. Seeing an old friend again, Su Jinhua could be considered an old friend. Back when he was cultivating in the Cloud Forest Valley, Su Jinhua seemed to be a respected senior brother. In fact, he was also a selfish and ruthless person. He took another step into the inner space of the Sky Battle Ring. He felt that the Sky Battle Ring's boundary was very sturdy. It could even withstand the shocking aura of an imperishable realm expert. Xiang Ying is here. After a few breaths, the surrounding disciples suddenly exclaimed. Su Fong's ears twitched slightly. He looked to the left and saw a young man in green clothes with long hair moving without wind. He held an arm and entered the boundary in the blink of an eye. Xiang Ying, like his name, he had the noble aura of a royal prince. His eyes and demeanor were full of arrogance. His green clothes were plain, but it showed that he was different from the rest. In this space with only two experts, it was almost impossible to hear what was going on outside. Xiang Ying stared at Su Fang and asked in a cold and arrogant tone, "Frozen Moon, Cave Heaven Disciple, Fang Yu." "I am Fang Yu." Su Fang cupped his fists. Xiang Ying waved his hand. "No need to salute. Maybe after you lose, you'll treat me as your enemy for life and curse me all the time. You want to skin me and drink my blood. Your Excellency, what you said is very interesting, because I think so too. You're so arrogant. Once you lose to an unknown disciple like me, I'm afraid you'll live in the shadows for the rest of your life and curse me all the time." "Ha ha!" Xiang Ying suddenly laughed, but he quickly stopped himself. His expression was cold and handsome. "Your words are very interesting, but in my eyes, you're just a jumping clown. In front of me, Xiang Ying, only being trampled beneath my feet and becoming a loser is your identity. Are there any rules for the mortal ranking competition? Rules are only for the weak. Don't you think it's a bit too late to ask now? Why is it too late? Before I came here, I only planned to defeat you. You were just an insignificant challenger, so I could become famous again and sit firmly in second place. But now, your rudeness has angered me. My anger has caused me to punish you. I'll cripple 10 of your meridians and extract most of the energy in your golden core. You'll return to your original state. Without dozens of years of cultivation, you won't be able to recover. That's my punishment for you. You're completely wrong. First, I asked about the rules because I wanted to know whether or not to follow them. Second, you can't extract my golden core because it's long gone. Xiang Ying, go ahead. You're an expert, but in my eyes, you're also a stepping stone for me to become a genius. You're courting death. How dare you be so rude to me?" These words completely infuriated Xiang Ying. Bang! Within the sky battle arena, countless auras suddenly rushed out. Xiang Ying's aura was shockingly moving. This aura was yellow in color and was different from the rest. Little yellow divine astral energy. One of the 7 great divine abilities of the immortal sealing sect. Little yellow divine astral energy was one of the 7 great divine abilities. It was incomparably tyrannical and could strengthen the physical body. The spiritual energy cultivated was also purer than other spiritual energies, and when it was fused with a divine ability, its power was naturally much stronger. Swish! Swish! At the same time, Xiang Ying directly used his aura to charge forward. His palm shot out, condensing into a dazzling yellow shadow fist. From afar, it looked like a jade emperor mountain was about to crush Su Fang. Pow! Su Fang didn't dodge. Under the gazes of countless pairs of eyes, Su Fang also used a tyrannical palm print to collide with Xiang Ying in the air. Bang! Bang! The two of them didn't use just one palm. At the same time, they used countless palm techniques to kill each other. They were like hungry tigers pouncing on sheep. Fang Yu is indeed strong. He's only at the first stage of the longevity realm. Zhao Wuji was astonished. A cultivator of the first layer of the immortal realm could fight against a cultivator of the 10th layer of the immortal realm. His strength was terrifying. Outside the sky battle arena, in the depths of the barrier, was a formation space that ordinary disciples couldn't enter. Junior Sister Yin, I didn't expect you to be able to nurture such an amazing disciple. Yin Kaifeng floated in the void of the formation, looking down at the sky battle arena. Everything was happening in front of him. Not far away, a figure representing the universe grotto heaven floated. His appearance couldn't be seen clearly, but he was talking and laughing with Yin Kaifeng. But if you want to defeat my disciple, you're still a bit lacking. This is a matter between disciples. Everything will be decided by true strength. Yin Kaifeng wasn't as relaxed as his opponent. He focused on each of Su Fang's attacks. I'll let you see the ferocity of little yellow divine astral energy. Divine astral sword chi in the sky battle arena. In just a short while, dozens of exchanges had taken place. Xiang Ying's little yellow divine astral energy caused yellow sword chi to appear around his hands. It didn't feel like sword chi, but like treasured swords made of yellow jade. Su Fong frowned. No wonder so many genius disciples choose to cultivate little yellow divine astral energy. With such pure spiritual energy, once it condenses into a divine ability, it'll be extremely tyrannical. Papa Pav divine astral sword chi struck Su Fong's palms, shattering them one by one. Not only that, Xiang Ying's attacks were ferocious, not giving Su Fong any time to breathe. It seemed he had accumulated a lot of battle experience in the sky battle arena. Hua hua hua. First, it was the divine astral sword chi. This time, the domineering aura released by little yellow divine astral energy transformed into figures the same size as Xiang Ying. Each figure held a divine astral sword chi. There were about 30 of them. Not simple. Xiang Ying's strength is truly terrifying. Cultivating little yellow divine astral energy, he can use a large amount of divine astral energy attacks. The disciples watching the show opened their eyes wide. Xiang Ying controlled more than 30 Shangang human silhouettes that were the same size as him, and suddenly, with lightning speed, they surrounded Su Fong in the center. More than 30 divine astral energy figures formed from little yellow divine astral energy shot out powerful sword chi at the same time. Daluo Heavenly Sword Formation. Xiang Ying was truly second on the mortal ranking. With such a divine ability and powerful energy, he was undeniably on the mortal ranking. Su Fong had exchanged blows with many longevity realms, but he felt that facing Xiang Ying was like facing an undying realm expert. Buzz. The Daluo Heavenly Sword Formation enveloped Su Fong. Boom! Little did he know that the 30 figures had smashed into the Daluo Heavenly Sword Formation, shattering it layer by layer. It's over. Xiang Ying used such a powerful divine ability and his strength to shatter Fong Yu's defenses. He can't even gather enough strength to resist. There's still a huge difference in strength. The thousands of onlookers shook their heads when they saw the scene of a giant trampling on a dwarf's house. They thought that Su Fong would fall under Xiang Ying's divine ability when the sword formation was broken. Kid, this is strength. Xiang Ying controlled the little yellow sky god's cosmic force. Apart from his Dharma treasures, he was now in his strongest state. It was as if he had more than 30 puppets supporting him in his attacks. One could imagine how powerful the little yellow sky god's cosmic force was at this moment. Hua hua hua. The sword formation above Su Fong continued to shatter. There was only one last layer left. Flesh fetus divine armor. A dark golden Xianguang suddenly appeared on Su Fong's body. Clang, clang, clang. More than 30 divine astral sword chi had destroyed the sword formation's defenses. Their strength was also affected. When they landed on Su Fong's body, it was as if they had hit metal. Ruler divine steps. The flesh fetus divine armor blocked little yellow divine astral energy's attacks, and Xiang Ying used the ruler divine steps to dodge the sword chi. Daluo Heavenly Sword Formation. Su Fong suddenly threw out dozens of talismans at Xiang Ying. Impossible. How can he block my attacks with just his physical body? Is he wearing a Dharma item? Xiang Ying had thought that his attacks had defeated Su Fong. What he didn't realize was that the talismans containing the Daluo Heavenly Sword Chi suddenly exploded. Sword Chi began to berserk, enveloping Xiang Ying. That's the flesh fetus divine armor. It's a flesh embryo divine armor that only undead and imperishable experts can cultivate. It truly is worthy of being called the legendary flesh fetus divine astral energy. It can block little yellow divine astral energy head-on. No one was optimistic about Su Fong's chances, but this change made everyone's jaws drop. Just as little yellow divine astral energy was about to crush Su Fong was able to reverse the situation and kill his way out of his predicament. Chapter 2:15. Flesh fetus divine armor. He doesn't have a golden core, but his cultivation keeps increasing. At first, I only thought that Feng Yu's physical body was extraordinary, but I didn't expect him to have such a high life force. At the first layer of the longevity realm, he can condense a flesh fetus divine armor that even the first layer of the undying realm can't condense. Within the barrier, Yin Kaifeng was both surprised and happy. Most undying realm disciples can't condense a flesh fetus divine armor because their physical body must be strong enough, and their life force must be strong enough. Feng Yu's physical body is indeed the foundation for him to become a genius. As a sect master, she had to pay attention to Su Feng's challenge. Sky Arena. The surrounding thousands of disciples were all discussing. After all, only those above the undying realm could condense a flesh fetus divine armor, and not every disciple could successfully condense one. Damn Feng Yu. He's getting stronger and stronger. When can I get his treasures? Cheng Jianxia was also among the crowd. He deliberately hid his strength like an ordinary disciple. But the experts beside him all knew who he was. Cheng Jianxia's hatred was like a torrential river. He's not just strong, his strength is on par with Xiangying. Isn't he surpassing me? My family's experts are afraid of some Fu Tianxian and gave up on Su Feng. Is the seven-colored soul absorbing bell? Thousands of empty pouches, and even more treasures not enough to attract them? If I had the cultivation of the undying realm, I would have killed this brat long ago. Sky Arena. Chi-Chi, a large amount of sword Chi runes exploded. The fierce attack from the Daluo heavenly sword Chi engulfed Xiangying for a while. Su Feng floated to the side, preparing for battle. He believed that the second on the human ranking wouldn't admit defeat so easily. Even if he was seriously injured, he would still fight for a while. Whatever he wanted to come, would come. The explosion calmed down, and a bloody figure flew out. It was Xiangying. He didn't have a flesh fetus divine armor like Su Feng, so even if he could block a part of the sword Chi attack, he was covered in wounds. Su Feng saw that Xiangying looked like he wanted to eat someone, but he wasn't the least bit affected. You're quite persistent. Xiangying, if you admit defeat now, you can at least give yourself a way out. If you continue fighting and get seriously injured, isn't it not worth it? It's too early to be happy. Hu Qi Xiangying was like a ghostly blood shadow. He released Goldie's Heavenly God Supreme Force again and formed another 30 Heavenly God Supreme Force figures with Sword Chi in their hands. You still want to use me to attack? Do you think I'll just stand there and let you attack me? After witnessing the power of Goldie's Heavenly God Cosmic Force, Huang Xiaolong's eyes turned into a sea of Sword Chi. Su Feng thought of his advantage and his abundant energy. He decisively unleashed his Daluo Heavenly Sword Chi. I'll slowly wear you down. Clang! Clang! The sea of Sword Chi blocked the path of the 30 over God Astral Realm cultivators. Xiangying was enraged. He didn't expect Su Feng to display such a shocking divine ability. The crazy Xiangying activated his God Aura and Human Silhouette to kill the Sword Chi Ocean. The two divine abilities were like two sword mountains, clashing against each other, trying to shatter the other. One after another, the God Aura Realm cultivators slashed the Sword Chi Ocean from the front, forming an encirclement. Su Feng immediately extended the Sword Chi Ocean, preventing the God Aura Realm cultivators from getting close. Who would have thought that I, Xiangying, would never have been able to fight to such an extent after going through so many battles? Is he at the first layer of the longevity realm? Xiangying's thoughts were complicated. Before, he had looked down on this unknown brat, and before the challenge, he didn't even try to understand his opponent. Now, he suffered a great loss and fell into a bitter battle. It's hard to determine the winner of the second place. In terms of divine abilities, the two of them are about the same. If their divine abilities are not good, they can only compete on whose energy is abundant and whose skill is profound. The analysis is very correct. Let's see how profound their skills are. Whoever can persevere will have the last laugh. Some disciples were also guessing the result of the competition. Looking at the current situation, it was impossible to see who would have the last laugh. Maybe someone still had special methods that they hadn't used yet. There were still some unknowns. Unknowingly, half a day had passed. Phew! Xiang Ying was so tired that he was panting. His bloodshot eyes finally disappeared. He looked at the human silhouette that attacked Su Fong without caring about anything. He suddenly regretted. If I knew that this person's cultivation was so profound, I would have thought of other ways to deal with him. I can't use magic treasures, but I can use rune talismans. If he uses the great Luo heavenly rune talisman, then I won't hesitate to use the minor yellow god astral energy rune talisman that I condensed for 100 years. Even if he has the flesh fetus divine armor, he can't use it all the time. The flesh fetus divine armor requires an astonishing amount of vitality to support it. The longer he uses it, the more it consumes his own vitality. Thinking about it, Xiang Ying had to grab the opportunity and not waste any more of his vitality. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After forming the hand seals, he raised his hand, and a large amount of rune talismans that contained the minor yellow god astral energy rune talisman came out from his palms. So many rune talismans. This is his last resort. Su Fong floated in the sea of sword chi. Seeing many rune talismans appear, he wasn't panicking. Instead, he was calm. This meant that Xiang Ying wanted to decide the victor. Xiang Ying roared, "Fang Yu, these are the rune talismans that I condensed for nearly 100 years. There are a total of 1,000 rune talismans. Wait until I use them on my divine astral avatar. Then it will be your death. Come, do you think I'm afraid of you?" Thousands of rune talismans are going to be used on the surrounding divine astral avatars. Wouldn't that instantly increase the divine astral avatar's terrifying strength? I'll let you see my flesh fetus divine armor. Su Fong could see through what the other party was thinking. Taking out so many rune talismans meant that the other party knew that he had the flesh fetus divine armor. Furthermore, he knew that the flesh fetus divine armor couldn't be used for a long time. A layer of dark golden aura enveloped his body. The flesh fetus divine armor. After fusing with a portion of the indestructible golden body's power, the flesh fetus divine armor wasn't just purely defensive. Adding on Su Fong's shocking yang qi, the flesh fetus divine armor was as sturdy as a magic treasure. Even so, it couldn't directly receive an attack. Since Xiang Ying wanted to use a tyrannical divine ability, Su Fong couldn't retreat. He activated the Great Firmament Sword Chi. 100 swords returned to origin. The surrounding sea of sword chi suddenly shrank from 30 meters to 30 meters. Furthermore, the sword chi also disappeared. They didn't disappear, but fused. The countless sword chi fused into over 100 strands of sword chi. Each strand of sword chi was connected to the end, forming a circular sword formation. 100 swords returned to origin. Su Fong had spent a lot of time and effort to find an extraordinary sword formation from the countless cultivation techniques he had collected. Although the sword chi seemed to be less, each strand of sword chi had been tempered thousands of times. They were 100 times stronger than ordinary sword chi, regardless of whether it was the energy or the seals condensed. Swish! Swish! The 100 swords returned to origin was activated. The sword chi inside was spinning faster and faster. It actually shook away some of the divine astral avatars. Return to formation, fuse. Xiang Ying flew over. All of the divine astral avatars flew to the front. Large amounts of runes entered the backs of the divine astral avatars. In an instant, each of the divine astral avatars grew several times bigger. The seals condensed on their bodies released a dazzling Xianguang. Goldie's divine astral energy, as expected of a divine ability from the immortal sealing sect. This divine ability could release such power in the hands of an immortal realm disciple. What about an undying realm or imperishable realm disciple? Kill. After the runes fused, Xiang Ying condensed even more energy. He pushed his hands forward. Over 30 divine astral avatars waved their divine astral sword chi and slashed at the rapidly spinning sword formation. Break! A palm strike struck. The 100 swords returned to origin. The spinning sword formation suddenly scattered, turning into countless sword chi vortexes. They were struck by the divine, astral sword chi above. At this moment, both sides used their last and most powerful attacks. Sword chi shattered, chi sliced, and chi gangs swept out in all directions. Xiang Ying and Su Fong didn't move at all. Facing the destructive chi, the two of them used the chi of experts to persevere to the end. The chi aura cut off many of their threads. If it wasn't for their shocking strength, their skin would have been left with countless sword marks. Some of the divine astral avatars were destroyed, and the 100 swords returned to origin dissipated as well. Chi. A few divine astral avatars that seemed to be unaffected suddenly attacked. Their aura was as overbearing as before. They split apart the sword chi in front of them. A few sword chi were about to cut Su Fong into pieces. You want to defeat my spiritual fire runes with just this. Xiang Ying placed his bet on these few divine astral avatars. Su Fong was very relaxed. The energy in his body was still boundless. The methods he had prepared were naturally not limited to the flesh fetus divine armor, and the 100 swords returned to origin. Whoosh whoosh! A few runes surged out from Su Fong's palm. When the sword chi pressed down, they exploded, causing the divine astral avatars to lose their balance or be unable to continue attacking. Fire tornado! Taking advantage of the situation, Su Fong used the ruler's heavenly divine steps. In the midst of the burning flames, Su Fong flashed and attacked, pointing at the exhausted Xiang Ying. Chi! A waterfall-like spiritual fire pounced towards Xiang Ying. Xiang Ying looked at the spiritual fire in shock. He clenched his teeth and could not take a step back. Divine astral air shaking fist. The remaining divine astral energy in his body clenched his 5 fingers. Fist marks appeared all around him as he rushed towards the spiritual fire and punched it above the flames. Whoosh! However, in a state of near collapse, how could he resist the spiritual fire that came from Su Fong in a majestic state? The spiritual fire burned the fist marks and swept past Xiang Ying. After the wave of fire passed, Xiang Ying fell down powerlessly. He lost his center of gravity and landed on the ground with a thud. A monster in the first stage of the Immortal Life Stage defeated a 10th-stage Immortal Life Stage cultivator, and he's ranked 2nd on the human ranking. Xiang Ying's energy is almost exhausted, but Feng Yu's aura is still unfathomable. This feels like the aura of an undead stage cultivator. The 2nd on the human ranking is well-deserved. Feng Yu rose up first among us. In the eyes of the experts who had witnessed this exciting battle, there were no losers, only winners. Su Fong slowly looked at the sky arena. The 2nd name had changed from Xiang Ying to himself. At this moment, he was the 2nd on the human ranking. He was only below Zhao Wuji. Chi. Su Fong left the sky arena with the aura of an overlord and disappeared in front of countless eyes. Ice Moon Cave Heaven, a certain space in the UMO Immortal Heaven. Yin Kaifeng passed through the clouds and walked out of a door. The door flashed, and Yin Kaifeng found himself in a valley with a waterfall falling from the 9 heavens. Several old men were sitting cross-legged in a stream in the valley, sitting on leaves. It was unknown what level their cultivation had reached. Yin Kaifeng bowed and reported the news of Su Fong becoming the 2nd on the human ranking and the general process to the old men. The old men were still sitting cross-legged, but they rose from the water. You've cultivated an outstanding seedling. After hundreds of years, Ice Moon Cave Heaven finally has a disciple who can enter the top 3 on the human ranking. Another old man said, "Let him become a registered disciple of the heavens of immortals first, then we'll see how he performs. If he performs better, let him enter the heavens of immortals to cultivate." This is a high-grade Dharma artifact refined by several elders of Ice Moon Cave Heaven. It's called the Wind and Fire Spirit Sword. It's a fire-type Dharma treasure suitable for cultivators. After saying that, a silver flying sword flew out from the waterfall stream below. The Wind and Fire Spirit Sword. Ice Moon, Cave, Heaven needs a genius to rise up. Otherwise, we'll be slowly suppressed by the 6 major Taoist temples and gradually lose all our advantages. The elders exhorted him. Yin Kaifeng took the Wind and Fire Spirit Sword and entered the door. Chapter 2:16. Lower Immortal Cave. Yin Kaifeng walked out of the door and into the depths of the Dao Hall. In front of him was Su Fang's ordinary immortal cave. Whoosh! Without waiting for Yin Kaifeng to summon him, Su Fang flew out of the cave. Master! Yin Kaifeng was startled for a moment. He looked at Su Fang curiously, wanting to see through this mysterious disciple. How did you sense my aura? Disciple was pondering at the entrance of the cave, recalling my battle with Xiang Ying. Coincidentally, Master arrived, so I didn't dare delay and immediately came to welcome you. I watched your battle with Xiang Ying from the shadows. Your performance was very good. You were able to defeat Xiang Ying and become second on the mortal ranking. Yin Kaifeng took out a sword light. High-grade enchanted artifact. It was just a sword light, but Su Fang was already attracted by its aura. This is the Wind and Fire Dual Spirit Sword. It's a high-grade enchanted artifact refined by the Heavenly Grotto's higher-ups not long ago. No one has ever fused with it before. Yin Kaifeng introduced it. The Heavenly Grotto's higher-ups are also aware of your performance today. In order to reward and encourage you, they bestowed this sword upon you. High-grade enchanted artifacts aren't only Undead Realm geniuses or Undead Realm disciples qualified to possess them. This proves that the rules don't restrict geniuses. The Heavenly Grotto's higher-ups think highly of you, so they'll naturally give you cultivation resources. With this Wind and Fire Dual Spirit Sword, your strength will rise to another level. You'll have no problem dealing with 2nd or 3rd Undead Realm experts. Then Disciple won't be polite. A high-grade enchanted artifact, and it was a newly refined enchanted artifact. Since it was delivered to his doorstep, Su Fang had no reason to reject it. After receiving the Wind and Fire Dual Spirit Sword, he stroked the blade. This was an enchanted artifact with spiritual qi. Seeing Su Fang's happy expression, Yin Kaifeng also smiled. Maybe they'll give you a mission later. You have the Rainbow Soul-Absorbing Bell and this sword. You have both offense and defense. I estimate that even a 4th Undead Realm expert won't be able to do anything to you. But maybe someone will go to the Sky Arena to challenge the disciples. Su Fang put away his sword. Challenges are other people's business. You don't have to pay attention to them. At least for the time being, don't worry about it. Cultivate well. If there's a mission, do it. If there's no mission, but someone challenges you, accept the challenge. Fighting with many experts will increase your overall strength. I didn't expect your control over fire divine abilities to be so extraordinary. Work hard. My sect has a peerless true flame called the Green Fiend True Flame. It's one of the great divine abilities outside of the 7 great divine abilities. I hope you can surpass the imperishable realm in the future and cultivate the Green Fiend True Flame. With that, Yin Kaifeng turned and entered the door of wonder, disappearing without a trace. Back in the cave, Green Fiend True Fire. He had already grasped the divine ability that everyone longed for. Summoning the Wind and Fire Twin Spirit Swords, he examined them carefully, then communicated with Green Feather King. Green Feather King examined them for a while. This flying sword has just become a high-grade Dharma treasure. The quality is average, but you've put in a lot of effort into the sword formation. The material and the sword formation have fused with the Wind and Fire hand seals. When combined with your spirit flame, its power is astonishing. It's a tailor-made weapon for you. Coincidentally, the Cold Frost sword isn't enough for you to use. With this flying sword, you'll be able to use it openly in the Celestial Sealing sect in the future and compete with experts. That's right. With the Wind and Fire Twin Spirit Swords, he wouldn't need to think about the True Demon Bloodplate, the Fire God Elephant, or the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda in the Celestial Sealing sect. Together with the 7-colored Soul-Absorbing Bell, he could attack and defend. Since even Greenfeather King was so sure, Su Fong was prepared to use the Wind and Fire Twin Spirit Swords as his divine weapon. After dripping his blood, the Wind and Fire Twin Spirit Swords easily absorbed the blood chi. With a ding, countless layers of sword markings appeared on the silver sword. There were scarlet sword markings, as well as silver sword markings that looked like wind threads. His will entered the sword, and a large number of seal layers appeared before his eyes. There were many familiar characters of the Celestial Sealing Sect, as well as Origin's spiritual chi. The Celestial Sealing Sect was worthy of being a first-class power. They could easily refine a high-grade Dharma treasure. If a small power had a few high-grade Dharma treasures like this, it would be enough to establish a foothold in the world of cultivators. He sat down cross-legged and used the Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal. His will immediately turned into countless fine wisps of will aura that whizzed into a large number of restriction formations. This scene was similar to Xiang Ying using the Celestial Astral Avatar. Su Fong wasn't using his true body, but his will. Through the Heavenly Devil Book's supreme mantra, he divided his will into countless wisps of will, which could also be called divine will clones. They poured into a large number of restrictions, and at the same time, he could grasp the seals within the restrictions and activate the techniques. The Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal was so wonderful. The Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal was based on will and consciousness cultivation. A cultivator's primordial spirit came from his will and will. It was said to be a devil path cultivation method, but when combined, it didn't have the ruthlessness of the devil path. Cultivation varied from person to person. If a devil cultivator cultivated a righteous cultivation method, he was also a devil. A cultivator with a righteous heart, even if he fell into the devil path, he wouldn't be bloodthirsty like a devil. This sudden thought made Su Fong frown slowly, as if he had comprehended something. His will began to disperse again, as if it was splitting, forming even more will clones. In the space of the Wind and Fire Spirit Swords, a large number of separated will clones moved back and forth between the main body of the divine will and the various restriction spaces. There was a faint devil chi in the divine will. This devil chi began to slowly turn into a handprint, a sword chi, or a pagoda shadow. The pagoda shadow was the heaven-suppressing pagoda, a dharma spell that Su Fong had comprehended from the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. After an unknown period of time, a large number of will clones returned to the main body of the divine will. Su Fong's divine will began to turn transparent and float, but when the countless will clones merged, it felt like a real person, vivid and lifelike. It was obvious that Su Fong's divine will had improved as a whole. The Wind and Fire Spirit Swords have already merged, but I still need to comprehend the sword formations and sword moves within, especially the fusion with the spirit flame. Su Fong's consciousness returned to his main body. Sitting cross-legged in the cave, Su Fong waved his hand, and the 1-meter-long Wind-Fire Dual Spirit Sword appeared in his hand. He waved it slowly like willow catkins in his hand. It was neither sharp nor fast. Whoosh! After a long time, the Wind and Fire Spirit Sword's trajectory began to show signs of fiery chi. The sword chi's trajectory gradually became stronger. You want to cultivate the quintessence of the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi? In the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, Greenfeather King was sitting cross-legged. At this moment, Su Fong's divine will appeared. Greenfeather King thought for a moment. The Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi has 10 levels of mental cultivation. The majority of mental cultivation in the beginning is the cultivation of basic sword arts and sword chi. Ordinary cultivators mostly use the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi to condense sword chi and release some ordinary sword formations. But for the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi to become one of the 7 great divine abilities of the Immortal Sealing Sect, it definitely isn't simple. Su Fong bowed. Junior is listening respectfully. Since it's a sword art, you have to focus on cultivating it. It's called the Sword Dao. Every cultivator of the Sword Dao is a genius among geniuses. If an ordinary person can comprehend 30% of the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi, they can comprehend 80%. Mastering the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi isn't easy, but mastering the Sword Dao is equivalent to mastering a powerful attack. The Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi's ultimate profundity lies in the word power. Power contains many aspects. Its aura, sword power, and the heart of an expert. It's also a fearless heart. It's a sword art, but it's also not a sword art. The mental cultivation sutras of the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi allow cultivators to comprehend the true essence of the sword art step by step. If they're brave, then any ordinary sword art will be unstoppable in their hands. If they're wise, then any clumsy sword art will be extraordinary in their hands. Look at the immortal sealing sex cultivation. Outer Mountain disciples start out doing chores. Later, they come in contact with various aspects. When they have enough strength, they go out to temper themselves. In the end, they become true cultivators. It's similar to cultivating the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi. The mental cultivation sutras need to be mastered layer by layer. The power this king is talking about is a type of sword intent that has reached the pinnacle. In truth, as long as you bring out your ruthlessness and stubbornness, you'll be able to control the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi. But Junior still doesn't understand it very well. That's right. At your level, you should be in this state. You just have to remember that when you use the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi or any other sword technique, you only have one thought, and that is to use your sword to shatter it. You don't need to use any sword techniques. This king is talking about a kind of realm, the realm of experts. This king is still some distance away from that realm. Once, this king went to the Wu-Tan realm and accidentally met a sword expert from the Green Lotus Sword sect. With a flick of his finger, he cut off the head of a big goblin from the Zhua Heaven realm. That's the kind of height this king is talking about. This king has been suppressed here for 10,000 years and meditated for a long time, so he could be considered to have some immortal potential. This king has also studied the immortal sealing scripture of the immortal sealing sect for thousands of years. To us demons, only power is respected. But in the human world, cultivators care about the Tao heart. Demons rely on their natural advantages to stand in this world, but humans cultivate step by step from mortals to immortals. This is something that demons can't compare to. Therefore, in these 10,000 years, this king has comprehended something similar from the 7 great divine abilities of the immortal sealing sect. Whether it's the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi, the minor yellow heaven divine astral force, or the heavenly dragon divine claw, the most important thing is the concept. After a cultivator grasps the concept of a divine ability, he can use the divine ability in unlimited forms. Concept? Strange yet familiar. What was that? Returning to his main body, Su Fong slowly stared at the wind and fired dual spirit swords. What was the concept? Why couldn't he see through it? Why could an expert kill the peerless big goblin with a thread? Even a child could tear it apart. But why could it kill the big goblin and become an existence comparable to a peerless divine weapon? No other divine ability could be considered a divine ability in comparison. The Green Feather King took 10,000 years to comprehend the concept. I don't think I'm a peerless genius. Naturally, I can't comprehend the true meaning of the concept in just a few decades. Cultivation, he had to continue to cultivate step by step. Only by experiencing it personally could he comprehend the concept of countless divine abilities. Therefore, the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi had no way to succeed, and the other divine abilities were the same. He slightly waved the wind and fired dual spirit swords again. Some of the flames became more and more shocking. It seemed that not only could it burn, but it could also shatter matter. While Su Fong was fusing with the wind and fire dual spirit swords and cultivating the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Chi, in the high immortal heaven above Ice Moon Grotto's immortal heaven, several powerful, undying disciples were gathered. I spent a great deal of money to reattach the left arm of my Song family's disciple, but now it was destroyed by that brat Fong Yu. Song Chi fiercely slammed his fingers on the jade table. He felt like his fury could shatter the table at any moment. We're all Ice Moon Grotto's disciples. We can't just go down and deal with a longevity disciple. Don't we still have the sect master? The person beside him was Guren. Last time, he had bought the barbarian marked divine cauldron from Su Fong. In the end, he had been forced to take it by force. I still remember the barbarian marked divine cauldron. I actually gave it to heavenly deity Fu. Guren was displeased. Chapter 2:17. Guren was getting more and more irritated. Another expert said to Song Chi, "Isn't heavenly god Fu going too far? He clearly knows he's a junior of the Song family, but he's still protecting that little bastard Fong Yu. Of course he's going too far. We're both from the immortal heaven and have cultivated for 1,000 years." Song Chi didn't understand. I heard that heavenly god Fu obtained the barbarian marked divine cauldron and has absolute confidence in advancing to the undead realm in a short time. Once he reaches the undead realm, he won't even place us in his eyes. The difference between us and him isn't that great. Furthermore, heavenly god Fu is a rogue cultivator. He has no background in the immortal sealing sect. But we're different. We have more or less the support of our families. Heavenly God Fu won't have a good time fighting over the barbarian marked divine cauldron with me. Doesn't that little bastard Fong Yu still have the rainbow, soul-absorbing bell? With that magical treasure and a formation, he can even deal with an undead expert. That little bastard? It won't be long before he has an opportunity. The Crimson Firmament continent hasn't been peaceful recently. A large number of missions have been assigned. At that time, we can use those missions to eliminate Su Fong. Song Chi and Guren had formed a faction. Not only were they going to deal with heavenly god Fu, but they were also going to kill Su Fong and take his rainbow, soul-absorbing bell. The Sky Arena. Whoosh. There's finally someone who's the first to challenge second-place Fong Yu. He's the withered wood Taoist, writes Yin Tianxiang. His family isn't small. I hear he has a powerful undead expert supporting him. Unlike us, who have no background, we can only fight one person at a time. Several experts were currently looking around the Sky Arena. It seemed they also wanted to enter the Sky Arena to fight. They wanted to scout the area first. The blue stone suddenly trembled. A figure had appeared there. He was currently in second place on the mortal ranking, leaving behind his name. Yin Tianxiang. Several experts immediately went up to greet him. But that man called Yin Tianxiang was disdainful. Staring at Su Fong's ranking, Yin Tianxiang coldly smiled. My Yin family's upper echelons are currently thinking of a way to take revenge for Yin Qi. Fortunately, some time ago, the upper echelons gave me a large amount of resources for my cultivation. That was all for the sake of eliminating Fong Yu and taking his treasures. I didn't expect him to be on the mortal ranking. Isn't this giving me a chance to publicly cripple him? The man was full of confidence and left in a flash. Frozen Moon Paradise. Within the cave abode, Su Fong was still meditating as he slowly fused the Wind-Fire twin swords. From time to time, he would fuse the Zenith Heaven sword chi into it. I don't understand the concept Senior Peng King spoke of, as well as the so-called true essence. Only through cultivation and through using the Grand Firmament Sword Chi can I truly unleash the power of this divine ability. His heart was completely calm. Only a large amount of sword arts appeared in his mind. Buzz! All of a sudden, the token moved. He sucked the wind and fire dual spirit swords into his palm and walked out of the cave. He immediately bowed. Master! Yin Kaifeng had appeared outside the cave at some point. I just sensed that a disciple of the Withered Wood Dojo named Yin Tianxiang is challenging you in the Sky Arena. Yin Tianxiang. Could it be that Yin Qi's family's expert, Yin Chongluo, still hasn't given up on me? Su Fong thought of something. Yin Kaifeng waited for a moment. Seeing that Su Fong was still deep in thought, he said, "You can accept the challenge. If you do, I'll tell you more about this person." I accept the challenge. Let's get rid of this fly first, Su Fong answered decisively. Yin Tianxiang reached the longevity stage 10, not long ago. He's not considered a top figure in the Withered Wood Dojo. He's been in the sect for hundreds of years. Yin Kaifeng roughly told Su Fong about Yin Tianxiang's background. Su Fong also decided to accept the challenge 3 days later. He had a trouble Yin Kaifeng to respond. The news of the challenge had already spread throughout the dojo. Frozen Moon Paradise also knew about it. Su Fong was still cultivating, but he could sense that some disciples were approaching the dojo from time to time. Buzz. The token suddenly moved again. After activating it, he was slightly shocked. He immediately left the cave abode and waited in the air for a while. He saw the 8th prince, Zhao Chengjing, flying over. After receiving him, he brought him to the bottom of the forest. Junior brother, why did you suddenly come? The 8th prince wanted to respond, but he was surprised when he saw the surroundings. Senior brother Fong, with your strength and your current status, why are you still living in a cave abode that's only suitable for ordinary disciples? Su Fong brought the 8th prince into the cave abode. The interior was also very simple. Su Fong smiled and said, "It's quiet, so as not to disturb people's dreams. I came here because I heard that someone challenged you. That person's name is Yin Tianxiang. Later, I heard people talking about it, and learned that this person's family has a grudge against you. Last year's mortal ranking expert, Yin Shi, unexpectedly went missing. I don't know where he died, but the Yin family's undying expert insisted that I was the one who harmed Yin Shi. With my strength back then, how could I possibly kill an expert on the mortal ranking? In the end, they came for my treasures. So that's how it is. No wonder I felt that they might try to kill you in this challenge. Senior brother, you have to be careful. After all, you have to be on guard against people. If you have time, you could come visit my place. My family's experts have recently come out of seclusion, so they have some free time. You're also ranked 2nd on the mortal ranking. Perhaps one day you'll also challenge my Zhao family's experts. Furthermore, my Zhao family isn't like the Yin family. Even if it's a competition for the mortal ranking, we're all fellow disciples and friends. How could Su Fong not understand? It was Zhao Wuji who had lowered himself to befriend him. In the past, Zhao Wuji had been high and mighty as the 1st on the mortal ranking. Adding on the fact that he had received the favor of the immortal Sealing Gate's higher-ups, he would definitely become a genius of the immortal touching heaven. On the other hand, Su Fong was just a genius without any background. But now it was different. Su Fong had entered 2nd place on the mortal ranking. Naturally, he would receive the favor of the higher-ups. That was why Zhao Wuji had begun to pay attention to Su Fong. That's not a problem. If I have time, I'll definitely pay you a visit. Su Fong was extremely happy. He finally had a chance to learn where the violet chi magic spirit was. Zhao Chengjing also didn't come in vain. He went to find Su Fong to trade some resources. He only left when he was satisfied. Senior brother Fong, I'll come with you to the Sky Arena. 3 days later, Su Fong had just left his heavenly paradise when Zheng Daoxin and over 100 other experts took the initiative to go with Su Fong to the Sky Arena. Clearly, these people wanted to curry favor with him. Others might not care, but Zheng Daoxin still had to give them face. He flew with them. Many experts took the initiative to get to know Su Fong. Su Fong had seen many of these people's faces. Back when he and Dao Wuliang had entered the Dao Right, they had been pushed aside. Now that he had been nominated for the mortal ranking, these people wanted to get to know him. In the Sky Arena, there's so many people. Junior brother Fong, be careful. More than 100 disciples of the Frozen Moon Cave Heaven flew into the air and scanned the area. There were thousands of people around the Sky Battle Ring, and everyone was affected by this aura. Zheng Daoxin patted Su Fong's shoulder, and the latter flew into the Sky Battle Ring under everyone's gazes. Within the barrier, a figure turned around. It was Yin Tianxiang. This is Yin Tianxiang. Senior brother Yin, what's your relationship with Yin Shi? Asked Su Fong as soon as he entered the barrier. When Yin Tianxiang heard this, he originally had an unfathomable expression on his face, but he had deliberately suppressed his anger, causing him to instantly turn sinister. You're asking the obvious, right? Yin Shi is my cousin, and his death is definitely related to you. But today, I'm openly challenging you. not seeking revenge. I don't care if you're seeking revenge or challenging me. I don't care if you have a way to defeat me. Su Fong took the initiative to unleash his grand firmament sword Qi, Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. When Yin Tianxiang saw Su Fong casting his skills, he immediately flashed out and raised his arms. His 5 fingers were like the claws of an eagle as he clawed at Su Fong. Pow! 2 claw prints that were 30 meters long blasted in front of Su Fong, shattering the great overarching heavenly sword Qi. I remember that Yin Changluo cultivates the little yellow divine astral energy. I thought the other experts of the Yin family also cultivated the same divine ability. Yin Tianxiang truly did have the strength to challenge him. Whoosh! Which cultivator wasn't afraid of flames? Heavenly divine astral cauldron barrier. Su Fong thought that Yin Tianxiang would dodge. But what he didn't expect was that Yin Tianxiang would use the little yellow divine astral energy to form a cauldron around him. He continued to use the heavenly divine astral energy to block the heavenly flame. Su Fong once more used the ruler divine astral energy, catching Yin Tianxiang off guard. Su Fong arrived behind Yin Tianxiang and flicked his finger. Grand Firmament Sword Qi shot toward Yin Tianxiang's back. Clang! They were all blocked by the divine astral cauldron. You're not as strong as Xiang Ying, but you're still quite strong. Su Fong had already seen through his opponent's strength. He repeatedly used the ruler divine astral energy to display his absolute advantage. With the ruler divine astral energy, Su Fong continued to release Grand Firmament Sword Qi, wrapping Yin Tianxiang up like a dumpling. Although he couldn't break through the cauldron's defenses, he was still able to prevent Yin Tianxiang from moving. Both sides were engaged in a great battle of offense and defense. The thousands of spectating disciples all saw how powerful Su Fong was. He actually forced Yin Tianxiang to defend himself. If this continued, Yin Tianxiang would be exhausted sooner or later. He would be defeated by Su Fong. After his battle with Xiang Ying, how many people knew that Su Fong was filled with energy? He's gotten much stronger. Within the crowd, Zhao Wuji and several other experts were watching the battle from afar. He could see that Su Fong's strength had increased quite a bit compared to when he had fought Xiang Ying. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yin Tianxiang was surrounded by spirit fire and sword Qi. Unable to attack, he could only defend. It seemed like he was prey, waiting to be slaughtered. But suddenly, dozens of runes appeared. There's something wrong with the rune's aura. Su Fong didn't dare to relax for even a moment. He activated his flesh fetus divine armor and condensed his grand heavenly sword Qi. He used the ruler's divine steps to dodge the rune's attacks. No one knew what kind of energy was contained within the runes. Qi. The rune's speed suddenly changed. Those runes aren't condensed by a longevity realm cultivator, Green Feather King reminded Su Fong. Those are runes condensed by an undying realm cultivator. So that's how it is. He really is a piece of trash. He wants to use the power of an undying realm to kill me. Su Fong finally understood why Yin Tianxiang had the courage to challenge him. The runes suddenly exploded, and a golden net condensed from Goldie's heavenly divinity, astral energy descended. It looked like it could suppress and destroy anyone. Sword Heart. He waved his right hand, and a true magic treasure-like sword Qi shot out of his palm toward the net. Bang! The sword Qi struck the net, causing it to tremble. Its suppression speed slowed down, and the sword Qi shattered. It continued to fall towards Su Fong. But Su Fong had already used the ruler divine astral steps to escape the net's range. He then used a large amount of sword heart. With a domineering smile, he stabbed the sword heart into the divine astral cauldron's defenses. Boom! A shocking explosion occurred from within. A miserable flame man was sent flying by the explosion. It was Yin Tianxiang. Any method is useless in front of strength. Outside, Zhao Wuji saw Yin Tianxiang's fate and sneered. You brought about your own destruction. Those who can enter the mortal ranking all rely on their strength. You actually used runes condensed by an undying realm expert. Chapter 218. Yin Tianxiang. The experts around the heavenly battle arena were all elites of the lower immortal heavens. Naturally, they could see that the talisman condensed by an undead expert was powerful. Everyone scoffed at that. If everyone was using the power of an undead expert, then what was the point of fighting for the mortal list? If the talisman was condensed by oneself, then there would be no objection. Fang Yu is too powerful. Even an undead expert's talisman is unable to suppress him. That talisman's power has definitely reached the first heaven stage of the undead realm. Fang Yu's strength has definitely reached the undead realm. What most people saw was Su Fang's outstanding performance. Incredible. What a genius. If you want to challenge me, wouldn't he have to put in a lot of effort? Zhao Wuji gloomily stared at the heavenly battle arena. A threat. He felt an extremely great threat coming from Fang Yu, a person who could defeat Xiang Ying and now shattered the power of an undying realm expert. Fang Yu, the two of us cannot exist together. Within the heavenly battle arena, Yin Tianxiang had been burned into a beggar. He crashed to the ground, vomiting blood and grimacing in pain. Su Fang put away his xianguang and slowly flew up. He looked down disdainfully. You call yourself a genius, but you actually used an undead expert's talisman. From now on, you won't have the chance to challenge the mortal list. No one will accept a despicable person like you. Furthermore, even if you cultivated for 10,000 years, you still wouldn't be a match for an expert on the mortal list. You won't become a genius. In the end, you're just trash. Swoosh. Su Fang disappeared from the heavenly battle arena. I swear, as long as I have the chance, I'll definitely get revenge for today. Yin Tianxiang looked on helplessly as Su Fang left. He didn't know that in the eyes of the surrounding thousands of experts, he had already become a dog through and through. Icy Moon Paradise. After a while, Su Fang returned to the paradise with Zheng Daoxin and the others. After exchanging a few words, Su Fang returned to his immortal cave and began cultivating. After fighting with Yin Tianxiang, Su Fang understood just how important and influential his family was in the immortal sealing sect. They could even influence the competition for the mortal list. That was the power of his family. Tens of thousands of aphrodisiac pills have been refined. He checked the situation of the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd, the True Devil Blood Plate, and the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. He didn't expect that the young commander would be able to refine more than 100,000 impotence pills with his 34 slaves after refining several tens of thousands of impotence pills. He still had to capture more junior commanders and slaves. There is no need to use the Sky Demon Disintegration Seal to deal with someone like Yin Tianxiang. This great ability will only come in handy when I meet a truly difficult opponent in the future. The battle with Xiang Ying had affected Su Fang quite a bit, but the battle with Yin Tianxiang had only consumed a little bit of energy, and Su Fang had quickly recovered. Buzz. The token also came to life at this moment. Junior brother. Before he could check, he heard Zheng Daoxin shouting outside. He looked at the token and saw that Yin Kaifeng was calling for him. After leaving the cave, Zheng Daoxin took the initiative to welcome him. The sect master sent me to inform you to hurry over. He probably has a mission for you. Su Fang politely asked, Senior brother, do you know what the mission is? Zheng Daoxin brought Su Fang and flew into the air, slowly approaching Qingshan Dao sect. It should be related to the Heavenly Gore Domain. The Heavenly Gore Domain is located in the depths of the Crimson Firmament Continent. It contains countless numinous treasures, and the most peculiar one is the Spirit Gourd. That is a treasure that every faction wants to obtain. I heard that our immortal sealing sect has obtained more than a dozen Spirit Gourds in the past 10,000 years. The Heavenly Gore Domain. Wasn't that the place where the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd was born? The Qing clan of the Sword Pole City is not simple. They can let their descendants obtain the Spirit Gourd, but those second-generation heirs don't cherish such treasures. He had already obtained one of the treasures that everyone dreamed of. If this mission was really to the Heavenly Gore Domain, he might have a chance to obtain more Spirit Gourds. The door flashed, and Su Fangda stepped inside. He instantly saw Yin Kaifeng sitting at the front of the hall, looking at him. Secmaster, what are your orders? Yin Kaifeng gestured for Su Fong to sit down. I already know the process of Yin Tianxiang challenging you. You did very well, and you also showed off the might of my frozen moon paradise. I originally wanted to let you rest for a while, but there are many missions for you this time. That's why I called you here. I want you to go to the Heavenly Gourd Domain to carry out a mission. Disciple will do his best to complete the mission. Since the destination is the Heavenly Gourd Domain, you have to understand it. The Heavenly Gourd Domain was born along with the birth of the Crimson Nimbus continent. At that time, there were no humans or cultivators on the Crimson Nimbus continent. The history of the Heavenly Gourd Domain's birth far surpassed that of any other power. Thus, there are countless heavenly treasures inside, such as spirit veins, spirit herbs, and spirit fruits that have lived for tens of thousands of years. Any kind of spirit item is very helpful to imperishable realm experts. There are also all kinds of necessary materials for refining pills and refining tools. The greatest treasure inside is the spirit gourd. Every spirit gourd is a rare treasure. After big or small forces obtain it, they can bring it back to the sect to cultivate. They can successfully cultivate some spirit gourds, and every spirit gourd can be suitable for any disciple to cultivate. Moreover, it can be cultivated by imperishable realm experts or experts who have been imperishable realm experts. Some of the forces in the Crimson Nimbus continent have cultivated many spirit gourds into peerless magical treasures after tens of thousands of years of cultivation. They can even absorb half of the sect into the spirit gourd domain. The sect has obtained the news of the spirit gourd domain's birth. At the moment, we're not very sure, but if there's such a possibility, you have to think of a way to obtain the spirit gourd. If you obtain a spirit gourd and give it to the sect can use it to cultivate more spirit gourds. This way, many geniuses in the sect can have them. Obtaining the spirit gourd is your mission. Many of the 7 great grotto heavens have also sent out some geniuses to search for the spirit gourd domain. Even our frozen moon grotto heaven has more than 10 disciples participating. You are a participant of this grotto heaven. I hope you can obtain the spirit gourd domain and win glory for our grotto heaven. Yin Kaifeng explained all aspects of the mission clearly. Su Fong bowed. I understand. If I really encounter a spirit gourd domain, I'll immediately report to the sect. In addition to the spirit gourd domain, the contenders of other forces are also your opponents. In addition, there are also some demon clan experts who have sneaked into the domain to cultivate. In fact, the domain of the Heavenly Gourd Domain was originally a place where some big goblin cultivated. Later, it was replaced by various cultivation forces. Even so, there are still some big goblin of the demon clan who cultivate in some mysterious spaces in the domain of the Heavenly Gourd Domain. Just like the demon clan, they only want to kill human cultivators. Remember this well and go to prepare, Yin Kaifeng said gently, full of concern. After leaving the main hall, Su Fong met Zheng Daoxin again. The latter confirmed that it was the domain of the Heavenly Gourd Domain and warmly told Su Fong everything he knew. Cave Mansion Su Fong was not in a hurry to leave for the Heavenly Gourd Domain immediately. Instead, he continued to cultivate. Since there were spirit gourd domain demons, he had to master the Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal and the perfected Devil Bloodplate better. The Heavenly Gourd Domain is indeed the territory of the demon clan. He then asked Green Feather King about the Heavenly Gourd Domain. Sure enough, he had asked the right person. This king once cultivated in the Heavenly Gourd Domain. When this king was alive, it was already a place dominated by human forces. I heard that around 100,000 years ago, only the demon clan lived there. A few powerful big goblin cultivated there. When humans grew stronger, they began to enter the Heavenly Gourd Domain to fight for resources. For example, the Spirit Sect 30,000 years ago. Later, most of the Demon Clan experts were either killed, suppressed, or left. That place became a place for humans to fight for treasures. This king also snuck in to take the Spirit Gourd Domain. Unfortunately, he didn't have that opportunity. Su Fong clicked his tongue. I hope there are big goblin domains. The more, the better. I can suppress them. Furthermore, I won't just hand the spirit gourd over to the immortal sealing sect. Smart. The celestial sealing sect said that ordinary cultivators can't refine spirit gourds. Although they're not wrong. You have the ability to make spirit gourds grow and transform. Your Flame Cloud spirit gourd is just a child gourd raised by the Broken Sword sect, not a mother gourd. If you can obtain a mother gourd, you'll definitely have the qualifications to establish a second-rate power. Letting the celestial sealing sect take advantage of you is something only idiots would do. The Green Feather King praised Su Fong again. I'm very familiar with the Heaven Gourd domain. Daozhan Fox Mother and the Sky Drill Rat Emperor have also been there many times. That Sky Drill Rat Emperor has the ability to travel through the earth. Who knows how many treasures he's obtained there? If you can suppress him, you'll truly become a rich man. With me secretly accompanying you to the Heaven Gourd domain, you'll definitely be able to obtain many treasures. For example, there are many alchemy materials there, especially spirit water. I can't wait. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. He stopped cultivating and prepared to leave. The Crimson Firmament continent was shaped like a huge gourd. Within the belly of the continent's gourd was a very ancient and dangerous place. It was called the Heavenly Gourd Domain. It was called a dangerous place not only because of the big goblin of the demon race, but also because of all kinds of natural poisons. Even the big goblin of the demon race was afraid of many powers inside. Even though it was so dangerous for tens of thousands of years, the Heavenly Gourd realm had always been a treasure hunting ground for countless cultivators from all over the Crimson Nimbus continent. The Heavenly Gourd domain was covered by a large number of mountains and a vast forest. In the depths of the forest was the entrance to the Heavenly Gourd domain. The entrance was covered by moisture all year round. The entrance was too big, with a diameter of 50 kilometers. It was about the size of an empire's capital. It took me half a month to get here. In the depths of the fog, a figure flashed through the forest. It was none other than Su Fong, who had come from the immortal sealing sect. Ayo! As he flew through another forest, he suddenly heard a terrifying demon cry. This was another demon that Su Fong had encountered on the outskirts of the Heavenly Gourd domain. Unfortunately, its cultivation was not high enough, and it had not even condensed a golden core. Otherwise, it would have been suppressed by him. The Green Feather King's voice rang out. Up ahead is the Heavenly Gourd domain. The real big goblins are all in the inner space. As long as they don't encounter a powerful sect like the Immortal Sealing sect, the big goblin is the supreme leader of this place. However, if a major power wants to kill a big goblin, they will have to pay a heavy price. As long as some important disciples don't die here, or if a true Heavenly Gourd appears, the major powers won't easily attack a big goblin. In that case, won't the important disciples of the major powers be able to do whatever they want here? Su Fong was shocked. It's not as simple as it seems. The Heavenly Gourd domain is very complicated. Some big goblins aren't afraid of the major powers. There are also some Devil Dao experts. They kill the major powers' disciples, steal their treasures, and then leave. It won't be easy for the major powers to chase them down. Chapter 219. According to Green Feather King's explanation, the Heaven Gourd domain was truly a dangerous place. After passing through a few more forests, they suddenly found themselves floating in the air. There was no ground below them, but a bottomless whirlpool of fog. In the realm of the Heavenly Gourd, Su Fong found himself standing above it. The Heavenly Gourd domain is very mysterious. There are all kinds of people, especially people from the other continents. There are demons, ghosts, and even human-headed snake gods. There are even experts from other worlds, like the Green Lotus Sword sect. Before entering the Heaven Gourd domain, Green Feather King warned him. Entering the world of fog below, he sensed some complicated auras gathering in the air. After half an incense stick's worth of time, he still hadn't reached the Heaven Gourd domain. It was truly worthy of being the deepest place on the crimson firmament continent. An underground volcano. After a while, Su Fong, who was standing on his flying sword, suddenly saw some sparks flickering in the mist along with the heat waves. Apart from the mist, there was also some volcanic ash. After descending a bit more, they finally arrived at the Heaven Gore domain. In front of them was a shocking volcano. It was even taller than the Crimson Palm volcano. It looked like it was about to explode. This volcano has flame stones that will erupt. It depends on your luck, or you can enter the volcano. I heard there's a flame serpent fruit there. As he approached the volcano, Su Fong could hear the sound of breathing coming from a few people. After a while, a dozen cultivators arrived at the volcano. In other directions, there were also groups of 2 or 3 cultivators. They were all paying attention to the lava erupting from the volcano. It didn't look fierce, but there would occasionally be some light flickering within the lava. It seemed those were the flame stones they were talking about. Green Feather King said, "Kid, you have the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda and the Flame God Elephant. You can definitely enter the volcano to search for treasures." Back then, Dao Wuyang and I obtained a 1,000-year-old flame serpent fruit at the Crimson Palm volcano. Don't tell me there aren't any other experts who can enter the volcano for treasures? Su Fong hesitated. He had come for the spirit gourd. Green Feather King chuckled. The volcano is so big, and the space inside is so deep. Even if there are experts who enter, they can't possibly take all the treasures. What 1,000-year-old flame serpent fruit? This Heaven Gore domain has been around for tens of thousands of years. There are quite a few 10,000-year-old flame serpent fruits. This king once obtained a few of them. Those flame serpent fruits are tens of thousands of years old, are comparable to high-grade enchanted items. They're extremely helpful for cultivation. Flame serpent pills. After Green Feather King's repeated introductions, Su Fong finally couldn't resist the temptation. In any case, he didn't know if there were any spirit gourds, so he might as well obtain some treasures first. Once he ate it, it would be his. Su Fong had a deep understanding of the flame serpent fruit. Back when he was cultivating in Tianmen province, if he hadn't obtained the flame serpent fruit, he wouldn't have been able to grow to the point where he could contend against the Zhao Empire. He immediately approached the volcano. Most of the cultivators were searching for flame stones in the lava. They were all in the longevity realm. Swoosh! As he entered the volcano, he used the bone-shifting art to change his appearance. He also used the flesh fetus divine armor and Xuanhuang's ability to protect himself. He entered the volcano and saw some lava flowing out of the volcano. Su Fong couldn't help but think of the ruins of the spirit sect. The magma space below was the same, but the temperature of the magma here was even higher. Because the Heaven Gourd was too deep in the crimson Nimbus continent's core, there was a lot of energy that had passed through the spirit sect. As long as they didn't enter the depths of the lava, undying experts could enter the volcano. As for undying experts, they didn't have any flame treasures. The volcano's space was extremely shocking. After searching for a long time, they didn't find any flame serpent fruits. They did find some flame stones. These cultivators are really strong. Along the way, Su Fong encountered several flying cultivators. But at this time, he saw a ship. Yes, it was a ship. This ship was very ordinary, but it wasn't made of wood. It was an enchanted treasure. A boat-shaped enchanted treasure, and a high-grade one at that. There were over 20 people on the ship. They were holding fishnet-like tools. They were casting nets into the lava. Some of them were pulling in the nets. There were quite a few flame stones in the nets. Green Feather King explained, "Don't even think about attacking them. They're clearly from top-level merchant guilds. They spend most of their time searching for treasures. Their cultivation bases aren't weak. Most of them are at the imperishable realm. Even the immortal sealing sex experts wouldn't dare offend them. Only Devil Dao experts or greater demons would dare to attack them. There are quite a few merchant guilds in the Sky Gourd world who spend most of their time searching for treasures. Now that the Spirit Gourd has appeared, I'm sure all the major powers have sent their experts here. The Heaven Gore domain was filled with people from various powers. How were rogue cultivators supposed to survive? After finding an empty space, Su Fong entered the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and shrunk to the size of a finger. He then dived into the depths of the magma. This was the power of a king-grade enchanted item. In the depths of the magma, the black-yellow Six Paths Pagoda greedily absorbed the scorching heat. Su Fong also used the flaming cloud spirit gourd to crazily absorb the scorching heat. At the same time, the wind and fire twin spirit swords floated in the black-yellow space, allowing the wind and fire twin spirit swords to absorb the scorching heat from the outside world. Although the wind and fire dual swords came from the immortal sealing sect, they were high-grade enchanted items that Su Fong would often use in the future. He wasn't worried that the immortal sealing sect would take them back and refine them into a high-grade enchanted item. In the future, he would have a foothold in the immortal sealing sect. With the seven-colored soul absorbing bell, how many people in the immortal sealing sect would be a match for him? Master, flame cloud stones. There's a whole mountain of flame cloud stones. It took half a day for the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda to reach the depths of the lava. There were cliffs in the depths of the lava, and Profound Yellow found a shocking amount of flame cloud stones. He took out an empty pouch and absorbed all the flame cloud stones. With such a shocking amount, it wouldn't be a problem for him to buy a high-grade enchanted item. The experts of the merchant guilds above would probably need several years to get so many flame cloud stones. But Su Fong had only needed half a day to get them by relying on the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Su Fong was very excited after obtaining the flame cloud stones. He was looking forward to the treasures below. Even if he couldn't obtain the spirit gourd, he would still be able to obtain other treasures. Continuing forward, Su Fong transmitted Profound Yellow, slowly search along the flame cloud cliff. There should be flame cloud fruits there. Ordinary cultivators won't be able to come here. There seems to be some monstrous chi not far up ahead. Arriving at another cliff, Green Feather King suddenly walked over to Su Fong. Have Profound Yellow cooperate with this king. Carefully sense it. I wonder if it's a peerless big goblin. Any monstrous expert that can cultivate here must be an incomparably powerful existence. There's a monstrous expert here. Su Fong broke out in a cold sweat. He had thought that he was the only one who could rely on the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda to reach this underground world. Green Feather King didn't say anything. Several magical treasures and spells quickly fused with him. His eyes turned a faint blood-red color. Half an incense stick's worth of time later, Su Fong grew impatient. Green Feather King suddenly laughed. Ha ha, it's not a monstrous expert. No, it's just that it's not a living monstrous expert. It should be a monstrous expert that died here. That was a false alarm. I thought we have to fight the big goblin here. Su Fong sighed with relief. Green Feather King glanced at him. What do you know? The corpses of the greater demons that die here won't melt. Perhaps their corpses will turn into natural treasures under the lava. Brat, you're going to be rich. Another great opportunity is coming. Profound Yellow, did you hear that? That's more like it. A big goblin and an ordinary human that had only cultivated for a few decades actually had a common language. Su Fong impatiently had Profound Yellow speed up. As for Green Feather King, he was also filled with curiosity. After passing through another cliff, they arrived at a place that seemed to be halfway up a mountain. There was a monstrous spirit flame burning there. It was not an ordinary flame, but a scarlet spirit flame. Master, it really is the corpse of a big goblin. It seems to have died many years ago. Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was still very cautious. After confirming it, they continued to speed up. Green Feather King and Su Fong eagerly stared at the big goblin's corpse. They had an urge to fly out of Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and directly over to it. Very quickly, Su Fong locked onto the spirit flame of a burning red skeleton. Senior, the demon corpse you mentioned only has bones left. I really can't tell what kind of big goblin it is. It really is a pity that it died here. Its cultivation base seems to have been condensed for nearly 1,000 years. Its cultivation base isn't that different from this king's peak. I just don't know how long it's been dead. I hope it's not a friend of this king's. Green Feather King sighed. After all, the corpse in front of him was one of his own kind. When they got closer, they saw that the corpse was over 30 meters long. It seemed to be in a sleeping position. Without any flesh, it was already a miracle that it could be preserved after being burned by the lava for countless years. Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda slowed down. Green Feather King arrived in front of the pagoda gate and carefully examined the corpse with Su Fong. The 4 junior commanders and Bai Ling were also on the side. There's a very shocking spirit flame at the center. Green Feather King made a discovery. For a corpse that had been burned for who knew how many years, it was difficult for Su Fong to find any treasures in the Xianwang space. But Green Feather King was different. He had lived for over 10,000 years, and he was also a demon expert. He naturally had an understanding of demon corpses. When he saw the Xianwang 6 Path Pagoda's power, he took an illusion cloud rope from Su Fong and used it to shake away the spirit flame. The flame cloud spirit gourd also flew out. Together with the illusion cloud rope, it sucked in the spirit flame. At the center of the skeleton, there were over a dozen blood-colored flowers. They were less than a foot tall, and they weren't particularly shocking. When they bloomed, they were the size of walnuts. Treasures. Su Fong immediately asked, "Is this the flower of immortality?" Green Feather King excitedly controlled the illusion cloud rope to pull out the flowers from the bones. More or less. To be specific, this is a demon core flower. You know the demon core that was given to this king last time? This demon expert died here, and his dantian and essence were burned by the lava for countless years, forming a demon core. The demon core then cleverly absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and grew into a demon core flower. Kid, do you know how precious a demon core flower is? Let me give you a comparison. Only 1 out of 100 human imperishable realm cultivators can grow a flower of immortality after death. But for a demon core flower, only 1 out of 1,000 big goblin can grow such a spirit item after death. So precious? He was shocked. Hee, with these demon core flowers, this king's strength will greatly increase. Even that little crane by Ling's cultivation will reach the level of that little fox Dao Wuyong's. Kid, you should be happy. This king wants some, you can keep some. Peerless treasures. Green Feather King had already begun to divide the treasures. He had no intention of discussing with Su Fong. Squeak, great, great. Bai Ling flapped its wings. Chapter 220. Whoosh. The illusion cloud rope immediately returned to the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda. Green Feather King raised his hand and grabbed out. Within a majestic claw mark, he grabbed several flowers from the illusion cloud rope that exuded demonic chi and natural spiritual chi. Demon core flowers. What a treasure. Not only does it have demonic chi, but it also has pure spiritual chi. Both humans and demons can use it for cultivation. Su Fong also saw that the demon core flower was extraordinary. The illusion cloud rope gathered the rest of the demon core flowers. There were 11 of them in total, and they were all bright red. It was like there was demon blood flowing within them. The big goblin's bones have also turned into flame crystals. They're perfect for refining. Green Feather King once more used the illusion cloud rope to draw the entire demon skeleton into Xuanhuang space. He gave Su Fong 6 demon core flowers and kept 5 for himself. That old fellow must have calculated everything. 6 demon core flowers. Su Fong looked at the 4 commanders, and then at Bai Ling. Didn't that mean he only had 1 left? Sister Bai, this one is yours. Go ask your senior how to refine a demon core flower. Su Fong took out one and gave it to Bai Ling. Bai Ling opened her mouth and sucked it in. She immediately went to find Green Feather King to learn how to cultivate it. He then called the Flying Tiger King and the other 3 commanders over and took out 4 demon core flowers. For commanders, your performance during this period of time is not bad. You did your best to concoct the impotence pill. These 4 demon core flowers belong to you. Many thanks, Master. The 4 commanders excitedly accepted them. In their eyes, these demon core flowers were peerless treasures. They truly were peerless treasures. If they hadn't met Su Fong, they wouldn't have been able to obtain such treasures on their own. Only experts on the level of Green Feather King had the power and opportunity to obtain such treasures. Finally, he left one for himself. The Tao is heartless. I'll leave this one for you. The Tao was heartless. Su Fong hadn't forgotten about it. Master, I'll continue looking for treasures. Xian Wang seemed to be greedy for treasures, especially fire tribute treasures. It gradually moved deeper into the lava world. Crane Fairy Bai Ling and the 4 commanders all came to Green Feather King. Green Feather King took out the demon core flower and formed seals. Bai Ling and Junior Commander learned each of the seals. Green Feather King's human form gradually turned into his true form, a huge azure pong. The Junior Commander also transformed into his human form. Only Bai Ling was still in her original form. Her cultivation level was not high enough to condense a human form. The 6 monsters exhaled, causing vortex-like demonic chi to emerge from their mouths. The vortex-like demonic chi enveloped the demon core flower, and they performed magical seals to absorb the demonic chi back into their bodies. During this process, some of the demon core flower's aura could be seen returning to their bodies along with the demonic chi. Master, it's another large amount of flame stones and a small amount of fire crystal stones. Su Fong was watching the Yao clan's cultivation method, and Xian Huang said excitedly. Looking from the entrance of the pagoda, there seemed to be a cliff in the shape of a valley. The bottom of the valley was filled with fire stones. The small ones were the size of mung beans, while the large ones had a diameter of 10 feet. The number was truly astonishing. It probably wouldn't be a problem to buy a King Grey Dharma artifact. With these fire stones, we can buy Xian Huang stone and Origin Jade stones. With such a large amount of fire stones, Su Fong completely forgot about the spirit gourd that was about to appear. Collecting fire stones could be used to buy Xian Huang stone and Origin Jade stones. He estimated that the fire stones below the volcano could be used to buy Xian Huang stone and Origin Jade stones. Perhaps it would be enough for the Xian Huang 6 Paths Pagoda to recover. As a result, the fire stones below the valley were emptied into several bags. Each bag could be exchanged for a perfect high-grade Dharma artifact. Continuing to go deeper with Xian Huang, not only was the lava not a threat to Su Fong, but it was also constantly burning Xian Huang, helping it recover. Half a day later, during this time, they didn't find any treasures. They only encountered a small amount of fire stones and fire crystal stones. Su Fong was preparing empty bags for more treasures. Xian Huang appeared again. Master, there seems to be a spirit light flickering in the cliffs ahead. Arriving in front of the pagoda, he looked ahead. There were indeed 4 spirit lights scattered in different places. One of them was black and gold. It seems to be the undying flower. When he got closer, he saw a beam of spiritual light in front of him. The spiritual light was in the form of a flower. In this world of lava, it should be the flower of immortality condensed after an expert died. After all, he had encountered a demon core flower before. When he got closer, it really was the undying flower. It seemed an expert, and an imperishable realm expert at that. He had died above and then fallen into the depths of the lava, falling right on top of the rocks ahead. A skeleton appeared below the spirit light. The skeleton had already turned into fire crystal stones. All the light gathered on the undying flower and the spirit flame that enveloped it. He summoned the fire god elephant and sucked in the spiritual fire. The fire god elephant was constantly cultivating and purifying. The more spiritual fire it absorbed, the more powerful it became. Furthermore, the fire god elephant also needed a large amount of mysterious yellow stone and origin jade stones in order to form a powerful magical artifact like mysterious yellow stone. Around the undying flower and the skeleton, there were a large amount of spirit stones and the remains of some magic treasures. This immortal expert had died here, so the bag he was wearing naturally couldn't withstand the lava for a long time. In the end, the bag melted and the space inside exploded. The contents scattered, and most of them were mercilessly refined by the lava like the corpse. The spirit stones and magic treasures left behind should be of good quality. Otherwise, they would have all melted. Using the illusion cloud rope, he grabbed the undying flower. An immortal expert had died and formed a flower that contained the undying flower. With this undying flower and the human blood goo absorbing the undying blood, Su Fong would be able to obtain an astonishing amount of undying realm expert's blood and strength. It was equivalent to having the resources to advance to the undead stage while still in the immortality stage. These two treasures were what undead stage powerhouses yearned for even in their dreams. If they were taken out to trade, they could be exchanged for an ordinary high-grade magic weapon. He went to the second and third spirit light. Not only did he obtain 2 undying flowers, but he also obtained many high-grade and top-grade spirit stones. Could it be a devil path expert? It should be. There's a faint devil chi. Finally, he found the last undying flower. Approaching the undying flower, he sensed some devil chi from it. This was a fallen devil path expert, like Mo Ingrun, who was in the undying realm. Looking at the skeleton, he also sensed some devil chi. Most of the devil chi had been burned by the lava. The undying flower was also black. Its devil chi was the densest, but its spirit chi was even denser. It also contained some spirit flame. There were also many treasures scattered around the corpse. They were all gems and spirit stones. Not a single enchanted treasure was left behind. It should have been at least a few thousand years ago. If this undying flower that contains devil chi was traded to a devil path expert, wouldn't its value be shocking? Sizing up the sparkling and translucent imperishable flower, he seemed to see a lot of mysterious yellow stones and origin jade stones. The 4 imperishable flowers could be traded for a certain amount of profound yellow stones and yuan jade stones. At this rate, if he could gather more of these treasures, the fire god elephant and the profound yellow 6 paths pagoda would no longer be lacking in power. Master, there's a spirit light not far away. It contains some spirit flame. Just as he was about to leave, profound yellow saw another spirit light at the bottom of another cliff. When Su Fong looked over, it was actually a spirit flame. Rushing over to take a look, profound yellow was shocked. Master, that's a mid-grade enchanted treasure. It was lost in this lava world and actually has a consciousness. Is that so? A enchanted treasure with a primordial spirit. Su Fong quickly went over to take a look. Within the spirit flame, there was a spirit flame flying sword less than a foot long. It was indeed a mid-grade enchanted treasure. The flying sword was not as cold as a normal mid-grade enchanted treasure. Instead, it seemed to be slightly struggling when it sensed the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. The Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda was even more excited than Su Fong. It's currently cultivating and condensing its consciousness. Master, directly absorb it into the flaming cloud's spirit gourd. As long as the spirit gourd refines it, it will have a primordial spirit in a few decades. Then Master will have 3 enchanted treasures with primordial spirits. Whoosh! The illusion cloud rope flashed through the lava like lightning and quickly wrapped around the flying sword that was surrounded by the spirit flame. Bang! The flying sword itself began to shatter, and some fragments fell from above. It does have a primordial spirit, and the flying sword itself has been destroyed by the lava, leaving behind a primordial spirit. Su Fong grabbed the flaming cloud spirit gourd again. This was indeed a great opportunity for the flaming cloud spirit gourd to have a primordial spirit. He had 2 major enchanted treasures with primordial spirits in his hands, the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda and the fire god elephant. If the flaming cloud spirit gourd refined the primordial spirit of the flying sword, it would become an enchanted treasure with a primordial spirit in the future. It was difficult for enchanted treasures below the high grade to have a primordial spirit. Only king-grade enchanted treasures, or extraordinary ones, could form a primordial spirit. If a mid-grade enchanted treasure had a primordial spirit, its value would be greater than a king-grade enchanted treasure without a primordial spirit. Moreover, the lower the quality, the easier it was for a cultivator to control the primordial spirit. Eventually, it would be integrated with the enchanted treasure. Maybe it could be cultivated into a life source magic treasure. Chi, just as he was using the flaming cloud spirit gourd to absorb the primordial spirit flame formed by the flying sword into the flaming cloud spirit gourd, he suddenly sensed movement in the space behind him. Turning around, it turned out to be He Fairy Bai Ling. Under the terrifying power released by Green Feather King, He Fairy was surrounded by a ball of demonic fire. A large number of feathers fell, and her wings disappeared. She was half human, half demon. Sister Bai is going to transform into a human form. Su Fong did not have time to check the primordial spirit sword Qi. He flew to the burning demonic Qi in front of him. As soon as he flew over, he did not see He Fairy Bai Ling. Instead, he saw a lively little girl, only 12 or 13 years old. She had delicate facial features, an oval face, and tender skin. She looked 12 or 13 years old, but she was already 165 meters tall. She was a little beauty. Was this still Sister Bai? She was clearly a beauty. Green Feather King looked down from above. Don't disturb her. She's now in the golden core, condensing the essence and finally fusing with the demon core flower. Without this king, this little girl would need at least 1,000 years to cultivate a human form. Her current strength is about the same as that little fox Dao Wuliang. You also took a lot of my treasures. He was unhappy. Green Feather King was an old scoundrel. When he saw something good, he would keep it for himself. Su Fong stared at Bai Ling again. Sure enough, she was at the most important time. In Bai Ling's mind, a bead was condensing. In fact, it was the divine aperture of a demonic Qi cultivator. Of course, this was different from the divine ability of humans. In the demonic Qi, it was called a spirit bead. The demonic Qi of the demonic Qi was absorbed by the demonic Qi of the demonic Qi. And the spirit bead in the mind mainly absorbed the spiritual Qi of humans and the spiritual Qi of heaven and earth. In this way, one could control the spirit bead to transform from a demonic Qi to a human form. Dao Wuliang and Flying Tiger King both cultivated spirit beads, which was why they could transform into a human form. With this spirit bead, Bai Ling not only had abundant magic power, but also could transform into a human form in the future and walk in the human realm. Green Feather King was right. It was Green Feather King who helped Bai Ling refine the demon core flower. Together with the energy of mysterious yellow, she could transform into a human form. Enter my true devil blood plate space. There are many servants inside, and you can properly learn alchemy from them. In the future, you can refine pills for me. He directly ordered the middle-aged cultivator to be sucked into the true devil blood plate. 2. Whoosh! When the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda reached the surface of the lava layer, a human figure suddenly shot out. The Six Paths Pagoda disappeared into the human figure. Su Fong stepped out of the lava and returned to the inner space of the volcano. He looked around, but there didn't seem to be any demonic path experts. ZZ. Little did he know that a series of black shadows, which seemed to be demonic Qi released by a magic treasure, suddenly attacked Su Fong from the burning flames above. Gloomy laughter came from behind the black shadows. So there's a righteous cultivator hiding here. Haha, this is my dish. Give it to this king to cultivate a skin puppet. High-grade magic treasure. Seeing the magic treasure's black shadow, his heart trembled. The golden core in his right arm's purple spirit immediately moved to his dantian and urged the demonic Qi. When a magic treasure's black shadow attacked, only an afterimage was left. You have some skills. Your speed is not bad. Unfortunately, you're a longevity realm cultivator. Even if you don't die in front of me, you will have to leave your head. After a series of explosions, the Black Shadow's magic treasure shattered the lava in midair. The Black Shadow turned out to be two sharp black claws. Behind the Black Shadow, the one controlling the claws was a sallow and emaciated man. He looked to be less than 30 years old. His eyes and glabella were filled with some demonic chi. In addition to the demonic chi, the man's ears were slightly sharper than ordinary people. The strangest thing was his hands. They were not human hands, but two claws. The claws were fused with his arms. They looked like magic treasures, but they were also connected to the man's flesh. Such a monster made Su Fong suck in a breath of cold air. He estimated in his heart, "What kind of monster is this? It is a demon, but it is also not a normal demon. This is a cultivator from a true Devil Dao power." Green Feather King had separated a strand of his divine sense to appear whenever Su Fong needed help. The largest Devil Path power in the Zhuotian realm is the Devil King continent. That is where the White Devil sect is located, and it is also the territory of many demon race powers. That continent is even larger than the Crimson Firmament continent. This person in front of you might come from some powerful devil sect on the Devil King continent. Behind them, where the lava touched the cliff, there was a fire snake tree. Sure enough, there was a 10,000-year-old fire snake fruit growing on it. It was one size bigger than a 1,000-year-old fire snake fruit. Moreover, its spirit chi directly rushed out. It was so tempting. Even an undying realm powerhouse would have a shocking increase in power after eating one. Looking at the situation, with so many powerhouses, I have no chance of getting the 10,000-year-old fire snake fruit. Of the 36 stratagems, the best one is to leave. It's time to leave this volcano and find a place to study the flying sword origin spirit absorbed by the fire cloud spirit gourd. Seeing that both sides were in a frenzy and that they were both undying realm powerhouses, Su Fong knew that he had no chance. Moreover, there were Devil Dao cultivators chasing after him. If he forcibly seized the treasure, there was no hope at all. Boom! Flapping his fire cloud wings, Su Fong fell into the surging lava. "You're courting death." The Devil Dao cultivator chased after him with a puzzled expression. The lava below was too frightening, so he couldn't stay for too long. He could only watch as Su Fong disappeared. However, he was still unwilling to give up. He used his claw force to attack the lava below. Regardless of whether he injured anyone or not, he could still vent his resentment. Then, Su Fong sat down in the cave. Swoosh! With a flip of his hand, the fire cloud spirit gourd appeared in his left hand. As soon as it appeared, he felt some kind of energy struggling inside. It had to be the flying sword's origin spirit that came from a middle-grade enchanted item. He sent a strand of his will into the fire cloud spirit gourd. In an instant, he saw a sword light escape from the green fiend True Flame. A origin spirit. It really was an origin spirit. It had its own consciousness and knew that Su Fong was here. It was still afraid of him and wanted to avoid him. But the fire cloud spirit gourd was Su Fong's treasure. Where could it run to? Chi, a defensive barrier formed from the green fiend True Flame, tore through the air in front of him. A foot-long fiery sword chi was sealed inside. The flying sword's origin spirit, don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. After using the heavenly devil disintegration seal, Su Fong's soul began to split into dozens of spiritual figures. They arrived in front of the green fiend True Flame and came into close contact with the flying sword's origin spirit. Buzz! The flying sword's origin spirit was still afraid. It emitted burning sword chi. Su Fong didn't know what to do. It was like he didn't know whether to speak or not to speak. The Xinhuang Six Paths Pagoda's origin spirit turned into a pagoda and flew over. Master, this flying sword's origin spirit has just been formed. It's like a 1-year-old human baby. It's afraid of everything. Master must spend time with it for a long time to gradually become afraid of you. This will take a long time. Well, I'll slowly get in touch with it in the future. After the soul fusion, Su Feng left the Fire Cloud's spirit gourd, but let Xian Huang's origin spirit appear. According to the normal time, how long does this origin spirit need to cultivate to become as strong as you? Xian Huang thought for a while. It's hard to say. If it only relies on the flying sword's origin spirit to cultivate by itself, I'm afraid it'll take more than 10,000 years. If it cultivates with an ordinary cultivator, it'll take more than 10,000 years. As for Master, it depends on Master's cultivation speed. If Master surpasses the day of immortality and indestructibility, the flying sword's origin spirit will probably be close to Xian Huang's level. After getting the answer, the origin spirit really needed time to cultivate. He still wanted the flying sword's origin spirit to accept him and then fuse with the Fire Cloud's spirit gourd step by step. Finally, it turned into the gourd's origin spirit. Using the heavenly devil disintegration seal, he separated a part of his soul and sent it into the true devil blood plate. An imperishable devil path expert. Not to mention anything else, just his treasures should be shocking. Arriving in the true devil blood plate space, the devil path expert from the devil worship sect was trapped in a restriction. Not only are there sect experts, but there are also devil path and devil path experts. We're about to reach the imperishable realm, so don't die here. If we become disciples of the celestial touching heaven, we'll live a carefree life. That's true. I'll help Brother Yin kill that disciple called Fang Yu, but he didn't show up. Is he an immortal level cultivator? According to common sense, immortal level cultivators need to be protected by undying disciples. Could it be that Fu Tianshan is here for the spiritual gourd too? Heavenly God Fu, you reminded me. Let's go. He's not coming. Following the last sentence, the two empty voices completely disappeared into the wet wetland. Su Feng also flew out of the cave. He felt like he couldn't breathe. Turning back, he said, Yin Chang Luo, you really are like a ghost that won't leave. You want to get rid of me, but I have an undead realm slave. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. Even if 35 slaves attacked, you still wouldn't be able to escape. The Heaven Gourd was becoming more and more dangerous. As expected, the Celestial Sealing Sect hadn't just sent a few disciples to get the spiritual gourd. Even their genius disciples had come secretly. Since Yin Changluo had come, perhaps Hua Daoying had come as well. King Greenfeather said disdainfully, "Who cares about the Celestial Sealing Sect? You're right. Eat it, it's yours. Hurry up and find the treasures. Let's go to the place where the two devil path experts died." Swish! Stepping on his flying sword, Su Feng flew toward the depths of the Heaven Gourd. As King Greenfeather had said, the Heaven Gourd wasn't just a dangerous place. It was a huge underground world. Countless experts had fought here for treasures, but none of them had managed to destroy it. The power of nature was truly uncanny. Human cultivators were still insignificant in front of it. The Heaven Gourd didn't just have volcanoes, forests, and swamps. There were also many strange spaces, caves, and underground rivers. About half a day later, Su Feng appeared in front of a majestic river. If there were underground rivers, they would flow slowly. But this one was completely different. It was like a beast was roaring underground. After flying along the river for another kilometer, the river suddenly formed a drop and turned into a huge waterfall. The sound of the water crashing down was loud. Greenfeather King's interest was piqued. Below this river, there's a huge pool 100 meters below. A devil path expert died, and there are terrifying leeches in that pool. They look like demons, but they aren't demons, and they're huge. They look like water lizards, and their offensive power is astonishing. They also live in groups. When cultivators enter that underwater world, they are bound by the shackles of nature. Their strength and divine abilities are greatly restricted. It's difficult to deal with the leeches for a long time.